Good morning, everybody, for the last time in 2024. Folks, we are back on the market open Tuesday, December 31st. Happy New Year's Eve. This is the last show, at least for the market open. We got two more streams today. We got the market close, and then New Year's Eve. I'll probably be streaming at 8 p.m., and we'll just be talking and chilling throughout the day on New Year's Eve tonight. But this is the last market open for 2024. We are done for the year. It has been a wild year. This year is now complete. And at least for the equity markets, we are just trying to inch out one final green day for 2024. Historically, the end of the year tends to be green. New Year's Eve tends to be green. The end of December tends to be green. And when I'm looking at the pre-markets right now, with Bitcoin back above 95, the Robinhood up 2%, Apple up almost 1%, Palantir up 1%, IWM up 1%, the Q's up 1/3%, S&P up 1/3%. I'm seeing the potential of the next 8 hours resulting in a green close to 2024. So this is going to be an exciting day. It's going to be really fun to see kind of how the market ultimately propels into the close. Do we go red? Do we go green? Is this a little bit of a bull trap in the morning? Is this a reversal from the lows that we saw yesterday? Some nasty lows across the entire market we saw. And ultimately, how do we factor in the end of the year going into 2025? So today's going to be very exciting. We got an entire year to end out. We will be live for the market open. Market close will be happening at 3:45. And then after that at 8 p.m. we'll be live just talking for New Year's Eve. For those who are not doing anything, I'll be live today. So if you don't have any parties or anything to go through, then you can come to the stream and we can just chill. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Martin, what's up? Thank you for being here. Felicia, Jeremy, Jeff, Jaspal, what's up? Low Watt, Canman, Blake, hello. I'm Beneficial. Very exciting day ahead. Even if it goes red, who cares? I agree. I mean, look, unless we go down 20% on the S&P, which I don't think will happen. We're going to end probably in that 23 to 25% range on the S&P 500. So overall, hopefully not too bad for the end of the year. Elaton, what's up? Nate, Jody, Jem, Brent, Drew, Cameron, hello. Zach, ER, Tess, what's up? Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. Andre, what's up? Hello to you. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Is anyone actually going out tonight on New Year's Eve? Put in the chat if you're going out or if you're going to be stuck at home with me. Well, I'm going to get some drinks on the stream, 8 p.m. So we'll be drinking, talking. But honestly, dude, my sister, I'm going to save this for the New Year's Eve stream. My sister doesn't share Instagram reels with me often. Yesterday, she shared an Instagram reel with me. I'm telling you, this is the funniest reel I have seen in my entire life. Like, it's just, when I show you guys this thing at tonight, you guys are just like, it was legitimately, I don't know why it was so funny, but it was the funniest thing ever. So we're going to be like watching stupid reels and drinking tonight. That'll be our New Year's Eve for those that are not going out. Wow, a lot of you guys aren't going out. All right. So I'll be live tonight if anyone needs something to do, 8 p.m. for New Year's Eve. All right, so let's get into markets. We got a lot to discuss as we end out the entire year. And we have a lot to discuss in terms of going forward for 2025. So first of all, let's just look at what the pre-markets are looking like, and then I want to get into some details from what happened last night and what's happening this morning. Bitcoin, really nice reversal. Yesterday was a disgusting day for Bitcoin. 91,291 was the bottom on Bitcoin. We are currently 4,000 points above that at 95,000. Also, the ETFs had a disgusting day. They sold $415 million of Bitcoin, which means this morning, really in the past 3 hours, is when a lot of market participants, algorithms, whatever you want to call it, started buying up Bitcoin, and we got some nice green candles all the way back to 95. MicroStrategy, there's been a lot of controversy with this stock over the past 24 hours. Why? Well, MicroStrategy dumped from 3:15 to 3:02 at 3:58 p.m. It was astonishing in the last 2 minutes of the day yesterday that MSTR tanked 8%. And then after hours, it fell to 293. So either someone knew something that was going to happen about MicroStrategy and they sold all their stock. Either someone knew that Bitcoin was going to collapse, because then Bitcoin fell from 93 to 91, which makes sense why MSTR collapsed. Or what's most likely, in my opinion, is Saylor diluted shareholders literally at 3:58 p.m. and that tanked the stock. And, you know, if he didn't at the money offering, then that probably was one of the reasons why you had more shares that were issued and the share price fell. But that's not the real controversy. The real controversy is MSTX. This is a leveraged fund on MicroStrategy. It fell 17% yesterday, and then after hours fell another 20%. Right now, it's up $42, or it's $42 in the pre-markets. It's up 10%. It should be up more like 15% or 20, about 20%, because it fell randomly 20% last night. So it fell from 53 to 40. Now, why did it fall from 53 to 40? Because apparently they're giving out a $14 dividend. That was the news. And so because they're giving out a $14 dividend, I guess they take away $14 from the share price and give it out as a dividend, which I guess is okay if you own the stock, because technically you're getting the $14. But the problem is if you sold puts on it and you have a strike price that is well below where the $14 dividend delta comes from, then you might have to buy those shares if you're assigned. So this was a very weird situation. I'm curious if this one bounces back or if it actually stays down as much as it is today. But that was some of the controversy going on last night for MicroStrategy. Overall, MSTR up 4%, so a little bit of a rebound as Bitcoin goes back to 95,000 currently right now in the pre-markets. We got the last gifted memberships of 2024. Mr. Derek Wall, thank you, Derek, for the 50 gifted. Appreciate you, brother. A bunch of you guys just got a ton of gifted memberships. Thank you, Derek. First of all, thank you, Derek, for being an amazing mentor and friend this year. But thank you also for just being part of this community and being so supportive every single day that you're here. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. He says, my whole IRA is an MSTX. Move the rest of my cash from Beto debacle. I am a effing loser. Dude, I love Derek. Derek is one of, in my opinion, the best investors I know. But he just loves getting in and out of trades, and he'll get into a trade, get out of a trade. He loves it. So sometimes when you do that, you're going to have some little hiccups here and there with things like MSTX. But nonetheless, I think this thing is coming back. It's just very weird last night that they took a $14 dividend and then like decided that they would take it from the share price, which means, Derek, you're going to get, if you have a ton of MSTX, you're going to get, if you have 1,000 shares, you're going to get $14,000, which technically makes the difference. It's just, I've never seen that happen. I've never seen a company like legitimately take a chunk of their stock on a leveraged ETF product and give it to their customers as a dividend, when in reality, that's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be from the actual profits of the business. I obviously, this company doesn't have any profits because they're just a leveraged ETF fund, but that was a new thing that I discovered last night. So we're going to kind of see how that plays out. But nonetheless, I think it'll be okay. Shout out to you, Derek. Thank you for this again. For those that don't know, and some of you guys probably do know if you've been keeping up with the channel, Derek is working on a startup right now. And it's I shouldn't even say working. I mean, he's like, the startup is like, it's happening. It's real. It's a big thing. And they are finishing up their funding round. And it's very, very exciting to see what he's doing at this stage of his life. So shout out to you, Derek. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community. And thank you for blessing everyone with some memberships. Fool's Gold, thank you as well for the $100 super chat. Happy New Year from the future in Dubai, LFG. Thank you for all you do, Amit. 2025 will be the year it comes all together. Fool's Gold, thank you so much. You've been a big supporter of the channel as well. $99 is a lot of money. I do not take that for granted. So thank you for being part of the channel. And thank you for enjoying the content and tuning in every single day this year. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Derek, as well, for the gift to memberships. So that's what we have in the context of MSTR. And we got a little bit of a rebound right now. Now, what else is moving in the pre-markets? Robinhood up 2.35%. We got some updates on Robinhood. We'll talk in a little bit. They're at 39.18. Palantir is up almost 1%. Tesla is up 1.44%. We have some expectations for delivery numbers on Tesla that we'll talk about in a second as well. The Qs are up 1/3%. S&P 500 up 1/3%. Coinbase is up 3%. Archer's up 1%. Grab is up 0.5%. Faraday Future is up 55% after going up 78% yesterday. I don't get this one, but whatever. It's doing its thing. GameStop is up 0.5%. Nvidia is up 0.5%. Rumble's up 0.5%. I mean, you just got tons and tons of names that are obviously moving. Hollow, this thing was up 100% yesterday. This thing is up another 11%. Sorry, it was up 167%. So whether it's algos, whether it's money managers, whether it's hedge fund managers, whether it's retail, there is buying pressure that's happening in the pre-markets. Now we just got to see if that momentum can sustain itself throughout the entire day. But it looks like we might get a green end of the year. And if we get a green end of the year, I wouldn't be complaining about it. Friday and yesterday definitely made it feel like we're not going to get that green end of the year. But maybe the markets give us a little bit of green to end out 2025 and to end out 2024 and to get into 2025. So by the rest of the day, we're going to kind of see ultimately how this plays out. The market does not close at 1 p.m. today. The market closes at 4 p.m. like normal. I was confused the markets were even open today. I didn't think markets would be open on New Year's Eve, but they are. They're closed on New Year's Day. So we won't have markets open tomorrow, but today we are open for the majority of till 4 p.m. like we end as usual. So that's what we got for MSTR and Bitcoin in the pre-markets. Derek says, I think the market will sell off today. Pretty sure tax harvesting. Yeah, I mean, look, that is something that's very possible. The problem is the last couple of days of December, the morning has been green. And then towards the end of the day, like you see a sell-off. Like we saw yesterday, we saw a reversal and then we saw a sell-off right at 3 p.m. So I don't know. We're going to see kind of how this market plays out. I do think that people that have been doing tax loss harvesting hopefully have already done it. Now, granted, most people do wait until the last possible minute to maximize their losses. So that's something that we're going to have to deal with today in terms of how many people actually decide to take profits, take some losses, and then where the year ends out. Nonetheless, you got 589.95 on the S&P 500. I mean, look, my prediction was 601.27 today at 4 p.m. That's where I thought the S&P would end. We would have to move 2.5% for that to happen. Will that happen? Maybe it's possible. It would have to be a great day, dude. 2% on the S&P is a great day. And I don't know if we have enough juice today to have that blistering rally. I think it would be a little bit more green in the pre-markets if that was going to happen. So I think maybe we end the day now at like 592, 595 if it's really good. And so we're going to see. We're going to see towards the end of the day kind of how this plays out and where the market ultimately ends. So that's what we have in some pre-market action. Now let's do this. I want to show you guys 2025 targets for the S&P 500 from all the firms, and I want you to see the comparison of that for 2024. So first of all, let's get into this, and then I want to talk about large caps because I have a take on large caps that I developed over last night. It's not that original of a take, but it is something that I think we've got to discuss a little bit more. So first of all, here are the 2025 targets for the S&P 500. Oppenheimer is at the top. I mean, I think we can put Steve ahead of all of them because Steve also thinks we're going to beyond 7,100. So I would put dividend streams at the very top. But then you have Oppenheimer, Wells Fargo, Deutsche Bank, Yardeni Research, BMO Capital, all of them at 7,000. And then the lowest is UBS at 6,400. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley kind of playing it safe at that 6,500 level, which is 10% of gains. And so this is kind of how the market is ultimately playing out when it comes to S&P 500 targets and where the broader equity research firms believe the world is going. Let's compare that to 2024. So 2024, this was what the market said was going to happen. You had JP Morgan at 4,200. This is why some people at JP Morgan definitely got some angry calls from clients, and Cantor Fitzgerald and Morgan Stanley and anyone below 5,000. I mean, look at the amount of people under 5,000, guys. UBS, Barclays, Evercore, Jefferies, Stifel, Wells Fargo, Scotiabank, Morgan Stanley. These are top tier firms that thought we would not end the year above 5,000. Then you had RBC at 5,000. You had Bank of America at 5,000. You had Goldman and Deutsche Bank at 5,100. And then at the top, you had Fundstrat. Even Tom Lee was pseudo. I mean, this is not bearish, but 5,200 is like, we are way beyond 5,200. Yardeni had the biggest target at 5,400. So just to give a sort of a flashback on what the market sentiment was going into 2024, the far majority of people did not think we would have a blistering bull market like we had in 2024. Again, this was the best or one of the best years in the stock market in the history of the stock market. We looked at annualized real returns a couple of days ago. It's 6.7% adjusting for inflation and dividends from 1900 to 2023, which means over the past 123 years, you are lucky if you can get about 7% on your money in the S&P 500 compounded. This year, we're going to end at about 25%. That's a little bit more than 3 times the average return. And as a result of that, a lot of you guys in the chat have said that you're up triple digits this year. And so that's an incredible year for retail, right? That doesn't happen every single year. So the fact that that's happening in this year, I think sets us up for a way to analyze how we think the world should be operating in 2025. And that leads me to my take on large caps. I talked about this last night on the market close, and I think some of you guys kind of caught on to this as well. But for those that didn't catch on to it, I want to articulate it here. I kept up with a decent amount of CNBC yesterday because my goal was to try to figure out where are the analysts thinking large caps go next year. I wanted to know, how do all the big people that come on CNBC actually think of the concept of large caps and the sector itself. When I tell you one after one after one after one, segment after segment after segment, I'm listening to some analyst that's on some show on CNBC, and they're saying the exact same thing, which is trim your large caps and rotate into small caps. That is pretty much what I heard in its entirety yesterday. And again, like you go to CNBC, go to their YouTube channel, click on any YouTube video. That is going to be the narrative that is discussed. That is the headline that they're going with. That is pretty much every mainstream narrative, from Dan Niles to Jeremy Siegel to any other random analyst that pops on the 2 o'clock hour. Like, all of them are like, sell Amazon, Google, Meta, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, etc., and buy the Russell, buy small caps. What is their logic? Their logic is we're top heavy, valuations are extended on those big names, and a rotation needs to happen for this market to thrive. Now, I'm not saying that they're necessarily wrong and that there can't be some correction in Q1 on the large caps, because that's essentially their implication. The implication of why you would sell your Amazon, because Amazon's going to tank 15% and you want to be in something that's going to go up 15%, which would at this point be defensives, utilities, small caps, cyclicals, etc. However, when all of them, and when I mean all of them, dude, I'm sure today we're going to get a bunch more of them. That's the narrative they're going with. When all of them are like, sell your large cap, get into small caps, that's where I get a little scared. Or that's where, I mean, it's not really scary. It's more so just like, I just don't know if I want to believe that. I don't know if people want to sell their Amazon and buy the Russell. I don't know if that's the case. We had Stephanie Guild on. She is a Robinhood Markets investment analyst. She was on the show yesterday in the market close, and she kind of has the same thesis. And I asked her the question, like, why do you think people would feel well at night selling their Amazon and, buying IWM? And her argument was like, well, it's based on your risk tolerance. We're not saying to get rid of all your Amazon. We're saying to just take some profits, trim here and there, yada, yada. And kind of the same consensus view that a lot of these other analysts have as well, which is fine. It's a fair view to have. I just now am asking myself, will that really happen? Will people actually sell their large caps and go into small caps? Because the far majority of people that watch CNBC are not like professional traders that even know what IWM is or what the Russell 2000 is. Like, most people, they know Amazon, they know Nvidia, they know Meta, they know Tesla, they know Google. And the most people that watch CNBC are long-term investors that are a bit older and that are just trying to figure out what's the best name that they can get into that can give them a return. To find some random small cap or to bet on the entire small cap sector against Google, which people have been owning since $70, or Amazon's people have been owning since $105. I just think, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard to see that happening. I feel like it's going to be very hard to see that happening. I called Steve last night about this, and Steve said these guys are literally only saying this because they want to buy the Max 7 at a cheaper price, which is not totally crazy. It's not totally crazy that a lot of these analysts just want their banks to be able to buy Google at much cheaper than 190. And I don't know if they're necessarily only saying this because they want a cheaper price, but I just don't understand how it makes sense to sell Google for a small cap or Amazon. And this goes back to the conversation I had with Chris a couple weeks ago on the show, which is that we went through all the stats around the Max 7. They're the only companies in the world that have the cash piles that they have, that can pay for the CapEx that they pay for, that can innovate with R&D around AI because they can lose money in that area and because the business is subsidized from other different sectors. They have the most amount of cash to buy back their shares. Their profit margins are expanding. Earnings growth is compounding, even if it's not as big as it was a couple of years ago. They're the only companies in the world, the Mag 7, that can do this. Or basically, you could throw Broadcom and TSM in there, and you can get into like the Mag 10. But those are the companies. So I, for one, will not be selling any large cap tech names to buy small caps. That's not my strategy. In fact, if we do get a correction, I will go shopping around large cap tech, and I will buy a ton of shares of each of the Mag 7s because I would love to own each of them individually. But if we do have some, correction and prices get really juicy, then I'll get into it. Even if we don't have a correction, I'm still buying the Mag 7. I'm still buying Amazon. I'm still buying Tesla. I'm still buying Google. So, and probably Meta as well. I want to put that up there. And probably Nvidia's. It's just so hard to like, if I had to get rid of two, it would be Microsoft and Apple. But I would love to, I wouldn't mind owning those as well. So the point is, I don't think the trade in 2025 is necessarily going to be get rid of all your large caps, get into small caps, or even trim your large caps, get into small caps. Would that be a structural, strategic, tactical thing one can do during the year in case we get a correction? Sure. You just have to be really good on timing it. And then you have to know when to jump back in, because anyone who's buying small caps is buying it just to sell it. No one's buying small caps to go long on small caps. People are buying it to sell it, to have more money to then buy the names that they care about, right? And so ultimately, I think 2025 is going to be a year of this question: will large caps outperform small caps in the rest of the market. Now, although some market analysts don't believe that's going to happen, Mr. Dan Ives does. And folks, I think there's a world where Dan Ives is going to be right about this. I know people are calling him crazy and people think it's hard for tech to compound 25%, but this is what he said. So he put out a new note yesterday. Here are his top 10 tech winners for the AI revolution and the note that he put out around why to be bullish around tech. We expect tech stocks to be up 25% in 2025 as the street further digests a less regulatory spiderweb under Trump in the White House with con FTC days in the rear view mirror, stronger AI initiatives within the Beltway and beyond, and the Goldilocks Foundation for big tech and Tesla looking into 2025 and beyond. We believe tech stocks will be robust in 2025 on the shoulders of the AI revolution and $2 trillion of incremental AI capex over the next 3 years. While there will be some white knuckle moments in 2025 along the way, the heels of the Fed worries, China tariff, poker game, and stretch valuation chorus moments, this will create the opportunities to own the tech theme and key names, which has been our core investing tech playbook for the last 2 years. So Dan is saying, even if these analysts are right that there's going to be some pullback in large cap tech, that is a pullback that you take advantage of because these are the names you own, not the names you run away from. His core top 10 winners for the AI revolution in 2025 are NVIDIA, Microsoft, Palantir, Tesla, Google, Apple, MongoDB, Pegasystems, Snowflake, and Salesforce. So a very software-oriented edge that Dan believes is going to be taking the mantle in 2025 in terms of the applications of AI, the data storage of AI, the data collection of AI, the data interpretation of AI, and ultimately the CapEx build out when it comes to AI. So I think this is going to be a year where you either believe in the Dan Ives thesis that tech compounds, or you believe in sort of the mainstream consensus that tech isn't able to compound because tech is extended in terms of its valuation. And then we're going to see by the end of 2025 who was right. Was tech able to expand multiples, or were small caps and mid caps a better place to be? So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things about 2025. 2025 is IWM, not large cap. It might be. It might be about small caps versus large caps, but I think that's going to be the existential debate throughout the entirety of the year. Cool. So that's what we got there. Let's check the 10-year real quick and oil prices. 10-year is, okay, 10 years down. That's good for equities right now. That's helping us in the pre-markets. Oil markets are good. Natural gas futures are down 6%. They were up 17% yesterday, so that's also good. Got a little bit of relief on the natural gas side, a little bit of relief on the 10-year side, and that's why we're seeing equities as well not do too bad. 2025 is the year of Pepe. Dude, I'm curious if meme coins survive in 2025 in terms of like continue to get more excitement and momentum. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I definitely think that the meme coin trend will be important next year. Okay, let's talk about this from Austin's comment, Fannie and Freddie. So Bill Ackman had another one of his Bill Ackman posts yesterday. And he says Fannie and Freddie. Now, again, he doesn't give really a lot of stock recommendations, but he thinks Fannie and Freddie is going to be the outperformer in the Trump administration. So this is what he wrote right here. It was a long post, but he said, as we look into 2025, one investment in our portfolio stands out for large asymmetric upside versus downside, so I thought I would share it. We have owned Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac common stock for over a decade. Today, they trade at around our average cost. As such, they have not been good investments year to date. During Trump's first term, Secretary Mnuchin took steps towards this outcome, but he ran out of time. I expect that in the second Trump administration, Trump and his team will get the job done. And what job he's talking about is ultimately having a credible path to remove them from their conservatorship in the relative short term, which also would mean deregulating some of the things that are going on, particularly in this industry. He says a successful emergence of Fannie and Freddie from conservatorship would generate more than $300 billion of additional profits to the federal government. This is on top of the $301 billion of cash distributions paid to the Treasury, while removing $8 trillion of liabilities from our government's balance sheet. So this is what Ackman is bullish on. Now, what is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? Fannie Mae is the Federal National Mortgage Association, and Freddie Mac is the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. And they were founded in 1938 for Fannie Mae and 1970 for Freddie Mac. Now, in 2008, obviously, there was a lot of distress based on what had happened with the subprime mortgage crisis and housing market collapse. And so in September 2008, the U.S. government placed both entities into conservatorship for the Federal Housing Finance Agency. This move aimed to stabilize the housing market, but obviously it has let Ackman not get the returns that he's been looking for a while. And then he goes further into depth on how removing them from that conservatorship would actually help the stock. From my understanding, you can't own this stock unless you use the OTC markets. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't buy it on Robinhood or Schwab. Or maybe you can on Schwab if they give you access to OTC markets. But this is not a name that you can just easily buy as a retail community. So Ackman's not really pumping it for retail because it's not the most accessible for retail to buy. It's more so a pump of him trying to get the market to be more excited about this, or at least get Trump from a deregulatory perspective to get the market to be more excited about this. Okay, Fidelity, so you can buy it on Fidelity. But maybe this is a trade. Maybe this is a trade that ends up being important. Ackman did say that he's going to be doing a presentation in a couple of weeks explaining this. It's ironic because yesterday we were talking about Ackman's presentation on Universal Music, right? And how he almost took them public via a SPAC, and that would have been like a $50 billion public company. But the SEC didn't like how he set up the SPAC and they shut it down. So I guess he's going to be able to build out a presentation trying to get the world to understand why Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac deserve to be a opportunity that's asymmetric going into the next few years of the Trump administration. And that'll be something that we can look forward to as well next year. Thinkorswim has it. All right. So some of the more sophisticated brokerages that have a lot of different options for equities offer it. Robinhood does not. So I've heard of the company and I've heard of the concept, and I knew, there's some of their background from 2008, but I never knew you could actually invest in them. So it was actually news to me last night that this is something you can invest in. But next year we're going to see how big of a deal that ultimately becomes in the Trump administration. Now, knowing Ackman, whenever he says to buy, sometimes he does the opposite. So we're really going to have to see if Ackman's long on this or how is he navigating this, because Mr. Ackman is always interesting with his public declarations and then his moves behind the scenes. So granted, he's owned this thing for like 10 years. So I imagine he's going to keep owning it. But if it pumps, you never know. If he's breaking even after 10 years, he might want to get out of it soon. So that's another thing to keep in consideration when you're thinking of that name as well. Pre-markets, MSTR is up 5%, Tesla's up 1.4%, Palantir up 0.87%, Robinhood a nice 2.24%, Bitcoin 95,000. If we can actually get Bitcoin back to 100K by the end of the day, and we have that New Year's Eve party that Saylor was talking about for 100K, that would be pretty fun. Don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be pretty fun to see if it does. Okay, couple updates on Robinhood and Tesla. So first of all, Robinhood, if you open up the app right now, there is a countdown to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be live streaming on the channel, so we'll get to see what happens live today on December 31st. Apparently, there's some reward that Robinhood's offering to users that are on the countdown screen right at 8:30 p.m. And I was trying to guess what it was. We've been trying to guess for the past couple of days. The community kind of figured out what it was by going through the terms of service. And apparently it's a crypto word. So this is what Robinhood said. If you're eligible for this reward and you're on the countdown screen at the time of the deadline, you get a notification about how to claim within 1 week after the countdown ends. Keep in mind, you'll need a Robinhood crypto account to claim the award. If you miss the notification, you can claim the reward through the reward center. Your reward will expire if it isn't claimed within 30 days. And here's the most important part. After you claim it, you must keep the value of the reward in your Robinhood account for at least 1 year. I have no idea what this is, but if they were giving away like $5, there's no way they would say you have to keep the value of the reward in your Robinhood crypto account for at least 1 year. So I don't know if like this is accurate, but there's no way this could be a small reward, because like they can't be obsessed with keeping $50 in your crypto Robinhood account. They would, at that point, it would just be a giveaway, and they would want people to be happy with the money and just like bank on the user engagement that they got from this marketing campaign. If they're actually saying you have to keep the value of the reward in your Robinhood account for at least a year, like, are they giving away a full Bitcoin or something? Like, are they giving away thousands of dollars? It's a reward. So rewards technically in financial accounting don't count as like operating expenses. So they won't have to really claim this as an expense to an extent. So if they're giving away a decent amount of money and it's a crypto money, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, I think Bitcoin would be the easiest thing to give away. I don't know. I'm very curious what they're going to do. Very curious what they're going to do. But the part that makes me confused is the last sentence where they say you have to keep the value of it for a year. Like in the terms of service, if you get the 2% transfer onto your like Schwab account to Robinhood account, you have to keep that in your brokerage for 2 years. So if you bring over 100,000, you can't just take it out the next day. You have to keep 100,000 for the next 2 years, which means we're talking about a sizable amount of money that Robinhood is wanting to keep on the platform because they're giving you a match. Well, if they're giving you a reward and they want you to keep it on the platform, like, why are they? I mean, like, why are they giving you that type of reward? Why do they care about keeping it on the platform, and how much money is it going to be? So 8:30 p.m. we'll find out tonight on the New Year's Eve stream, and we'll see what they're doing. But the broader point is they're keeping you on your toes. They're keeping you excited. They're trying to spice up the marketing. At the end of the year, they're giving you like one more thing to look forward to. And a company that's innovating in marketing at the level that they're doing, that's what you want to see. So I think that's really exciting to get in the context of a Robinhood. So it's going to be cool. Now, again, I don't think it has to do with shares. Some of you guys are saying shares in the chat. I think it has to do with crypto, because they're saying you need a Robinhood crypto account. So I don't think it's going to be like a share of Boeing or a share of Hood or something. Is the UK excluded? I have no idea, but I mean, I don't think they have to be excluded, because they can give a reward to people internationally. So I don't think so. Maybe. Honestly, not sure, but it's going to be something. And whatever it's going to be, hopefully it'll be exciting for users that end up winning it. Tesla, let's get into Tesla. So 505,000 to be exact, is the consensus forecast for Tesla deliveries, which we'll be getting the data tomorrow, or sorry, not tomorrow, on Thursday. So Thursday morning, we'll be getting the data for what happens with Tesla deliveries. Now, UBS is forecasting 510,000 deliveries. Barclays is doing about 505,000, but Tesla needs 515,000 to show slight volume growth for the full year, meaning they need at least 515 to end the year positive. No one thought, including myself, they would end the year positive in April, when they reported 385,000 vehicles in Q1. Q1 was a really crappy quarter, but then last quarter they had 463,000, and this quarter, given all the incentives, the 0% APR, I bought a Tesla myself. Like, a lot of people ended up buying a Tesla. And I think it should definitely be over 500,000. Will it be 515? My guess is actually we get to 515, but more realistically, I think 505 is kind of what the street is expecting as well. So yeah, tomorrow, early in the morning, I think 9 a.m. or 8:30 a.m., we're going to get the results for Tesla deliveries. And that'll be important to see how the market interprets it and how Q4 ultimately turns out for Tesla. Again, Q4 is going to be really good if Q1 and Q2 take a little bit of a headwind based on maybe interest rates not coming down and the EV tax credit going away. I think that's going to be okay. The market's ready to look past that. They've obviously priced in a lot of growth outside of just the automotive business. But if Tesla's able to knock out a monster quarter with 515,000 in deliveries, I think the street's going to be excited. And so the question is just going to be if they can do that. Austin says, wouldn't a Hood coin dramatically cheapen their brand? They've worked so hard to restore it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a Hood coin. I don't think Hood's issuing a coin. I mean, they already have a stock, right? They don't need to issue a coin. The only point you issue a coin is because you want to make money off of it, because you need access to liquidity and crowdfunding, and they have a stock, right? And so if the platform and the company does well, the stock will go up. So I don't think it's going to be a Hood coin. I think it's Bitcoin. If they're saying you need a crypto reward, I think it'll be Bitcoin. But tomorrow, ultimately, we're going to find out, or tonight, what it actually looks like. Robinhood right here up 2.61% in the pre-markets. Where is Tesla? Tesla's up 1.43%. So Tesla got hit badly yesterday as well, down 3%. It looks like Tesla's going to end the year hopefully above 420, which, you know, it's not 500, but it was at 130 at one point this year. So from 130 to 420, I think is an incredible move for Tesla. Very exciting for the company. Now, although some people do feel this valuation stretch and we can get a pullback, I think any pullback below 400 to me is something I buy, because I just believe in the bot thesis more than anything. And I'm happy to hold Tesla. And if I have to reduce my average, I'll sell calls against it. But I think 2025, Tesla's going to be up there as one of the major winners. And, you know, the funny thing about this is a lot of the analyst community outside of like the Dan Ives of the world, they are getting not necessarily bearish Tesla, but bearish large caps. And that includes Tesla, which is one of the most expensive of the large caps. And I just kind of think if all of them are bearish on these names, particularly, and they're bullish on mid caps and small caps, I don't think that large caps have to continue to be in this bearish tranche that the market is trying to put them in right now. And again, maybe it's because they want to buy them cheaper and they just think that these valuations are up there. But if that's the case, everyone gets to buy them cheaper if they do fall 10 or 15%. I don't think it's going to be WIF. I don't think it's going to be WIF either. I don't think it's going to be a meme coin, because if they do a meme coin, then it'll just be stupid, right? Like, I think it has to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana. One of those. So hopefully it does. Amit, you spoke about an AI software ETF that has Palantir in it. Remember what it is? It's IGV. IGV is the software ETF that has Palantir. Palantir is actually in a bunch of different ETFs. I should have come up with a post of how many ETFs hold Palantir, because there's defense ETFs, there's AI ETFs. I've been looking that there's a lot more ETFs that have Palantir, but IGV is the software ETF that you want to look for that has Palantir in as well. Some other updates on Tesla. So not only do we have delivery numbers to look forward to, but take a look at this. This broke last night. Tesla has officially announced that they have started trial production at their new Shanghai Megapack factory just 7 months after construction began. So they're starting to build Megapacks in Shanghai. The new factory successfully passed the completion inspection on December 27th. Mass production will start in early 2025. Tesla builds this second Megapack factory in less than half the time that they built their first Megapack factory in Lathrop, California. So you've got more further expansion of building out those Megapacks, and that's happening in a place where you need to have that expansion, which in this case is China. On top of that, we have some other China news for Tesla. 18,600 new Teslas were insured in China last week, tied for the second best week of Q4. So not only do you have the Megapacks that are starting to be produced in Shanghai, not only do you have hopefully a monster $515,000 car quarter for Tesla, you also have 18,000 new vehicles that were insured, which was the second best week of Q4, which means Q4 should blow it out of the park. I mean, Q4 should be a monster quarter when you factor in what's happening with China, what's happening with their expansions. Hopefully their cost of goods are coming down. Last quarter, the cost of goods to produce a Tesla, I think, was $31,000, and it was the lowest ever in the history of Tesla to build a car. So they've been incredibly operationally efficient. FSD is rolling out. FSD-free trials are rolling out to more people again, so more people are getting to witness what FSD looks like. 0% APR on that on Teslas for about a month created a massive promotion. And then you got Tesla China that's working on all levels. I think it'll be a great Q4. I think it'll be a really good Q4. If they give any hint of optimism in Q4 as well, I think the street will get excited. But regardless, it does seem like Tesla is set up for a strong Q4 and then hopefully strong Q1 after that as well going into 2025. Do I think Apple will hit a $4 trillion market cap today? That would mean Apple has to go to 264. Where's Apple right now? Apple's at 252. I think it's going to be tough. I think it'll be tough to get to 4 trillion today, unless we have a crazy, crazy bull market towards the end of the day, which maybe that happens, but it's not easy to see that happening towards the end of the day, but maybe it does. I think we would see better signs of it in the pre-market. But then again, maybe the pre-market's being silent so that the rest of the market can be much more entertaining towards the rest of the day, which we have seen that happen many times in 2025. But I don't know if Apple can get to 264 here. Or if Palantir can end above 80. I mean, Palantir has less work to do to end above 80, but maybe there's a shot it gets there. And if that's the case, that would be exciting as well. On Beneficial says it could be a HOOD stablecoin. Yeah, I mean, that could be another thing that it is as well, that HOOD's trying to do. It could be a stablecoin. We have seen rumors and leaks here and there of them working on something equivalent to a stablecoin or a stablecoin itself. So maybe today is the day they issue a stablecoin, and that helps them in their blockchain tokenization efforts. That helps them in their crypto staking efforts. It could be them taking a really big step on crypto today in terms of the reward they're giving. I'm just thinking of it much more simplistically, like, hey, if you're on the app, you get some little reward. Maybe it's a little bit of Bitcoin. But if it's staking or if it's USDC or it's some type of stablecoin, I think that would be a lot more exciting as well, especially going into 2025. I don't understand what is pushing Apple up other than them buying their own stock. So you're correct. One of the main reasons Apple is going up is because of them buying their own stock. But again, Apple is a classic melt up argument. When the market goes up, Apple, given it's a significant portion of the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, et cetera, and like a billion other ETFs, Apple goes up as well because you got a lot of money coming into those ETFs, and those ETFs have to have a proportionate allocation size of the different companies they own. And so they have to buy more Apple. So look, I agree. I don't think Apple fundamentally should be worth at these levels. But then again, a lot of companies fundamentally are a little bit stretched. The question simply becomes, do they collapse, or are they able to normalize and grow into those valuations a little bit more? Someone like Dan Ives thinks that Apple's going to 325 because he thinks 300 million people are going to upgrade their phones. And so it's kind of comparing those theses against each other going into 2025 to see how they end up playing out. Apple's in 400 ETFs. Yeah, so that makes sense. Apple's in many ETFs. Today's not a half day. Today's a full normal trading day. So we'll be done by 4 p.m. today. SoFi, where's SoFi? SoFi up 1.6%. Not bad. SoFi would be a great day if it could end over 16. Like SoFi over 16, Apple over 255, Tesla over 420. Those would be really exciting targets going into the end of the year. Let's do that in the chat. Put in the chat, what is one stock you want to end over a certain price? So put the stock and the price you would want it to end over to end out the year. Just personally, what would you want to see? I would go with Palantir over 80. If we could close Palantir over 80, that would be a very exciting day. An exciting end to the year. Because that would just be fun. It would just be fun. See Palantir over 80 towards the end of the year. All the bears would be upset. It would be really cool. But a lot of these names, if they could end today over high levels, that would be awesome. Amit, what's your streaming schedule today? We got the market open. Market close at 3:45 to like 5 o'clock. And then we'll be live at 8 p.m. probably till 12 a.m. So 8 to 12 tonight for New Year's Eve. And so 3 streams here later today. Samir says hood over 40. Oh my gosh, hood over 40 would be amazing, dude. Hood over 40 to end the year. And we're really close. That would be fun. Nvidia over 145. That'd be amazing. Tesla over 450. Would have to have a good day, but that would be awesome. Derek Wall says Bitcoin over 100K. That would be very fun to see if we get, we were at 108K two weeks ago. We were just there and then it tanked. So it would be nice to get back over that 100K level. Soundhound over 25. Hims over 30. Palantir over 80. Tesla 420.69. That would be epic. SoFi 1625. Hims over 25. Archer over 50. Okay, Archer's not going to 50 today. I don't think that's happening. But you got a 3x on Archer. By the way, shout out to you, Mr. Derek Wall. I have a lot of people who messaged me saying that they literally only bought Archer because Derek came on the show. I think this was in end of October. And he said, hey, Archer, I like Archer because like Brett, CEO figure, that was his former company. Archer's going to be big. eVTOLs are the next big thing. And it's up 3x. So I should have taken Derek's advice, but the chat took Derek's advice. And you guys that bought Archer have not done too bad. Where's Grinder? Let's check Grinder, dude. If we end above 18 over Grinder, Grinder's at 1850, bro. Holy crap. Imagine this turns out to be my best stock pick ever, bro. Like the least amount of worries I've had on a name called Grinder. It's up another 1.3% in the pre-markets. It's great. If we end above 18, that'd be amazing. Derek says, I called it at 308. Yeah, you called it at 308. I remember we were live on that stream and I almost bought right before the earnings, basically at that price or at like a 350, but I never ended up buying. But I mean, Archer's a hell of a story, dude. From 308 to $10, that's not supposed to happen to a name that doesn't have any earnings. I remember we looked up their earnings and I was like, where's the revenue? I was like, why? Where's all these? Why are these all these paragraphs? Where's the numbers? And then I realized, holy crap, they don't have any, right? So for that a stock like that in this environment to 3x in the span of like less than 8 weeks, pretty incredible. And so for those that took advantage of it, congratulations. There's a couple people that actually sent me that they bought call options on it at $3. And you know what happens if you buy a call option and something goes up 300%? The call option goes up like 700%. So yeah, this is a good one. Now, again, just got to be a little careful about this. It is very speculative. If we have a downturn, speculative names can get sold off. But the fact that it's holding $10 for having just no earnings and just like potential and just like a backlog of deals, that's pretty damn incredible. And that means the market is definitely feeling a little bit more excited about the potential of this name. All right, here we go, folks. We got 20 seconds left, 20 seconds left until the last market open of the new year. I think the bell will still be a Temu bell until we adjust the mic. But nonetheless, we're ending out the year 2024, last market open. Thank everybody for being here. Tuesday, December 31st. Happy New Year. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Palantir is up 0.6% on the day. We got 77.70 on Palantir as we go green. Wow, look at the market. It's green. SoFi 1575, that's green. Apple 252, that's green. Tesla 424, that's green. Google slightly red, but it basically looks like it's about to be green. 192, yeah, Google just went green. Hollow is up 7%. MSTX is up 9% after being down about 30% yesterday. MicroStrategy is up 5%, 315. Palantir 77.94. Robin at 38.92, that's up 1.6%. IWM small caps are up 0.5%. Qs are up 1/3%. The Qs are up 1/3%, and IWM is up about 0.5%. Faraday Future is up 31%. Coinbase is up 2.3%. Grab is down 0.32%. S&P 500 590, that's up 0.31%. Rumble is up about 0.14%. They were down about 13% yesterday. Nike is up 0.5%. Schlumberger is up 0.5%. TSLL is up 4% because Tesla is up 2%. SoFi 1578. Grinders at 1823. Google's at 192. MSTR is at 316. Verizon's up a little bit. Pfizer's up a little bit. Microsoft's up a little bit. And Square is up a little bit at 0.5%. You got pretty much green across the board. Broadcom's a little red. CrowdStrike's slightly flat. TMDX is below 60, but that's a little green. Joby's down about 1%. Reddit's up about 0.22. Where's NVIDIA? NVIDIA is down. NVIDIA's down about 1/3%. Okay, so we got a lot of green. There's a decent amount of green, but there also are some pockets of red. Pouncer just went red and Google just went red. So this is kind of looking like it was yesterday. So yesterday we opened red and we never really were able to get back green. Today we opened green, but there are definitely red candles across the board. Yeah, there's your Tesla red candle. There's your MSTR red candle. Qs have not shown a red candle yet. The Qs and the S&P are holding up so far. So it's individual names, not the indices yet. But it's definitely not a scorching green opening bell. It is muted. It is definitely muted. Nubank had a great day yesterday. They're down another 0.5% today. I was talking to Tanner about Nubank, trying to get his thoughts on Nubank last night. He's pretty excited about it. He thinks this is a massive dip opportunity. And I kind of agree with him, given I've looked at Nubank's growth. The only thing is, you guys thought Grab had too many shares outstanding. Nubank has 4.8 billion shares outstanding. I thought Grab at 4.2 was aggressive. So yeah, Nubank is also going to be a slow mover simply because they have a lot of shares outstanding, and there's going to need to be a big earnings catalyst to get that thing to move even further. But in general, we are green, folks, but it's not like a definitive green. It's not. Tesla was at 427, now it's at 422. MSTR was at 316, now it's at 315. So you've got red candles and you got a little bit of a green reversal right there at 933, which is where we're at right now. So everything's trending a little bit up, but it's not like a sustained green rally that you would see on a typical open that's super, super strong towards the green. Now, not everything's going red, so that's good to see, but it's definitely weak, and anything could take it off its tilt, and we could go a little red right here. AMD is up 0.5%, so AMD is going slightly green. Apple barely green, but it's holding on. SoFi as well. SoFi was almost 16, now it's at 1572. And then Hood was at like 39.50. Hood's at 38.65. So again, it's green. It's just as soon as the markets opened, you had algorithms or individual people sell off stocks because those pre-market prices were an illusion. They did not hold going into the 930 bell. But the indices are doing okay. No, they're not. Never mind. The indices are. No, they are doing okay. I was looking at Coinbase. Coinbase has a red candle. In the S&P and the Qs don't have a red candle yet. So individual names like NVIDIA might be down, but the entire tech sector is not down. And as a result, QQQ is not down. Mag 7, yeah, everything's green. Yeah, this is why the Qs aren't down. Mag 7, everything's green except NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the only one that's red, and it looks like it might turn green. But NVIDIA is the one that's red today. Bitcoin 96, are we back at 96K on Biddy? Are we back? Let's see. We're close. We are very close. That's helping the crypto names today. MicroStrategy, Cypher, Iren, Hut, Marathon. Marathon's been destroyed, bro. Marathon was at $30 three weeks ago. Marathon's now at 17. So same thing with MSTR. I mean, it kind of moved. The MSTR was 540. Now it's at 313. So these names have definitely taken a big hit. MSTR is still up 8x even after a 50% drawdown. How crazy is that? MSTR is still up 8x after a 50% drawdown if you bought on January 1st, which is just insane, the volatility baked into this one and how much it moved. But nonetheless, it's been big. VIX is up 3% today. Is the VIX up 3%? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. VIX is up as well. So we do have a little bit of volatility here. We do have some volatility. Intel, where's Intel? Intel is 18. No, Intel's up 2%. Oh, wow. Intel, 2032. Okay, so where are the semis? Are the semis moving? Yeah, every semi is green except ARM and NVIDIA. Every semi is green except ARM and NVIDIA. Marvell's flat. Everything else on Intel, SMCI, which was down 5% yesterday. TSM still a $1 trillion company. Dell is up a little bit. Micron, all these guys are up about 0.5% here today. Where's the quantum names? Let's take a look at that. Quantum names, are they down today or are they up today? Quantum is down. D-Wave's down 5%. IONQ's down 5%. Rigetti's down 3%. Quantum Computing down 6%. Google, the only one that's slightly green on the day. All right, so the quantum stocks are suffering. Where's Fartcoin? Let's take a look at that. Fartcoin is... Dude, this is why I'm saying we can't be in a recession. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how the fuck is this thing up 30%? Like, who's buying this shit? Who's buying Fart? I don't get it, bro. Like, every day you think this thing is done and it just lets out another one. Talk about silent but deadly, dude. Holy crap. 31% on the day. Every day just finds a way to make a new. This thing got to like 62 cents the other day. Now it's back to $1.06. Goodness. Did Tesla go red? Oh, boy. No. Why can't they just let us end green? SoFi just went red. United Airlines went red. Amazon went red. ARK went red. Netflix went red. Square went red. Roblox went red. Is Tesla red? Tesla goes red. Oh my. 416. Holy crap. That's a decent amount of red. Palantir is red as well, right? Palantir. Yeah, Palantir's red. 76. Dude, pre-markets was such a tease. Like, I woke up, I checked Robinhood, and I was like, oh wow, it's nice. Like, I was like, this is pretty green. Like, this is a nice reversal from yesterday. This is nice. You feel good. You open the app. You're blinded by all the green. You're like, oh, this is great. And then slowly, you get closer to the market open, and then the big boys come in like, actually, yeah, we don't really want this green today, and it's done. AMD just went green. Grindr, that was the best performer in the pre-markets. They just went red. SoFi just went red. AMD just went red. Google went red. Apple's like 5 cents away from going red. MSTX, that one's... Again, MSTX, this thing is insane. Again, for those that missed in the beginning of the show when we talked about it, MSTX's leverage against MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy was down 8% yesterday. So MSTX was down 16% because there's 2x leverage. Okay, no big deal. On top of the 16% it was down yesterday, let me show you guys a screenshot for those that didn't see it. It was down another 20%. It was down another 20% last night. Let me show you this thing right here. So it was down 17% during the day. That's normal. But then it was down 18% again. Why? Because apparently they took out $14 from the stock and gave it as a dividend, which I didn't even know that was a thing on these levered ETFs, but that's a thing. And I was texting Adam last night. I was like, I think it's a bug. I think this is like a glitch on Robinhood. There's no way it could be. How can it go down another 20% if MicroStrategy is not down 20%, or MicroStrategy is down 10%? It has to be leveraged. And apparently, and this is the game you get into when you're playing with these leveraged ETFs. You just don't know how they work all the time. Look at this thing. Now it's below 40. Holy crap. They can take out money from the share price and give it as a dividend. That was due to the special dividend. So now I understand what it is, but I didn't know that was a thing. And the thing is, look, if you own the stock, you probably don't care because like you get the money anyway as a dividend, so you break even. But if you're wheeling MSTX and you have puts at like 50 and the thing goes to 40 because of some special dividend that you didn't know about, like now you have to manage those puts, right? And so, and do those $14 ever come back in terms of the leverage that it has to MSTR, or are those $14 just gone? And there's just no chance for it to necessarily come back into stock outside of MSTR going up. So a lot of funky business was happening last night. And I think it's just a lesson for everyone that if you play with these leverage ETFs, especially in the options market, you got to really know what you're signing up for a lot, because a lot of this stuff, like, I didn't know that was the case. And I think most people don't know that those are situations they can get into. Bitcoin's not tanking, but it's definitely going down. It was almost at 96. Now it's at 95.3. Robinhood just went red, down 1%. S&P is 55 cents away from going red. You officially have red candles on the S&P. The Qs are already red, down 0.05%. Coinbase is red. Faraday Future is the only one that's up 35% and is somehow green. Somehow Faraday Future is green. Why is everything reversing to be red? I don't know, man. I guess we're not supposed to have a good end of year, I guess, for 2024. Derek said, look at your text. What did he text me? Derek, can I show this? Let me know if I can show this on the screen. This is hilarious, bro. This guy, bro, he just, dude, if Derek was in a prop trading firm on Wall Street, I think he would outperform every single fucking day trader. All right, so you guys know how bullish Derek is on Tesla, right? And let me prove how bullish Derek is on Tesla. For those that don't know, he bought me a literal Tesla share because I want to bet against him. So I am a Tesla shareholder of one share. He's obviously very bullish on Tesla. But that doesn't mean if you're bullish that you can't play the markets. And you got a nice little $55,000 gain on a Tesla put. So he bought a 427 put expiring January 3rd, which is like in a couple days. And he bought it on December 31st. Dude, that means you bought it this morning? Wait, what? This is what I'm saying. He's a day trader. He's a freaking day trader. Oh, now, sorry. It's not 55,000 anymore. It's fucking 65,000. So apparently he bought $300,000 worth of a Tesla put at 12:31, which was this morning. That means at 9:30 he freaking bought this, and in 12 minutes he's up 35%. See, I don't have the balls to do this stuff, dude. Because this thing expired. Wait, how much did he spend? 1478 times 125. So he spent 184 grand to buy the puts, and he's up 65 grand in 12 minutes. Is this Wall Street bets worthy? Yeah, this is definitely Wall Street bets worthy, bro. This is so degenerate. End of the year, 427 put right at the market open. I mean, it makes sense if you saw the trend and Tesla was going down, which, like, obviously he called it right. But, you could be bullish a stock and still be able to play the volatility going up or down. I can't do that, dude. I don't think I'm at that level yet. I don't think I'm at that level where I can make a call. I probably wouldn't do it with 100 grand, but even with $1,000, I would be scared to buy a put on something expiring in a couple of days because I don't trust my like TA skills that much or like my sentiment analysis that much of like seeing where the stock is going. At least not yet. But someone like Derek doesn't give a fuck. He's going to do it. So there you go. At least someone's making money off Tesla on the downside right here. 416 on Tesla. You got a nice red candle right there. We opened again in the morning, literally. Oh, so at 9:32, we were at 427. So he bought a 427.50 put, and we were at 427.93 at 9:32. So basically, he bought an at the money put. See, so this is the cool thing about Wall Street, right? What Derek just did, which is like buying a ton of puts right at the top at the money, and then the stock falls 5%, and then the puts are up 35%. Imagine that happening to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars across the entire world at all these different prop trading funds and hedge funds that are shorting or going long or buying puts or selling calls or buying calls on a stock all at once. This is why you need the best computers in the world to do this stuff, right? Or you just need to be really fucking good at understanding TA and have a Robinhood account like Derek. But if you're doing this professionally with hundreds of millions of dollars, you need to have the best computers that work in milliseconds. Because if you miss that opportunity to buy that put at 427 and 932, and you're playing with $100 million in your fund, I mean, you could have just made like, what, $2-3 million in 15 minutes. Now, you could have lost $2-3 million. You could have lost like $20 million theoretically if Tesla went to like 450 because, like it could go, it hurts either way. But this is what Wall Street does. And that's why when you day trade, unless you're really good at it, it's just tough to compete with them because they have so many computers and they have so much information that they're dealing with. Robinhood's slightly going green. So we're getting a little green on Hood. Maybe that's because Bitcoin's going up. S&P just turned a little green. The Qs are still down, but they want to go green. And Tesla's still not recovering right here, down at 416 on the day. Dan Ives on CNBC. All right, let's go to CNBC. Let's get Dan Ives. Oh, I literally just turned it on and I heard the word Palantir. Let me go to the beginning. Here's Dan Ives, and let's get his thoughts on what's going on in the markets. All right, here we go. Here's Dan.
You got in prior to the election. You were very happy.
Yeah.
Be focused on that. Our final time this year. I'm sorry you're not here. I'm fairly certain in saying that you were the most frequent guest on CNBC during the course of 2024. We greatly appreciate that. And even more so, the fact that you largely have been right, Dan. You're going to be wrong one of these days, but it wasn't this year. Why don't you think it will be next year as you continue to be so incredibly bullish on so many different names in technology?
No, thanks so much for that. It's been awesome to be on the whole year. Look, to me, it's all about hand holding. investors through this AI revolution. And I think we're looking, in our opinion, this is still only the second inning of the 9-inning game. And everything we see from all of our spending is about the multiplier. For every dollar spent on Godfather of AI, NVIDIA, on those chips, there's a $8 to $10 multiplier across the rest of tech, which is why I continue to believe that tech stocks are going to be up 25% into next year. And it's only 10 p.m. in this AI party that goes to 4 a.m.
Right. And you've been saying that for some time.
So look, I know Dan keeps saying that it's 10 p.m. and he keeps giving the same analysis about AI CapEx, but at its core, I talked about this at the beginning of the show today. Every single analyst on CNBC that wasn't Dan Ives yesterday that I listened to said, sell your large caps, go to small caps. Dan is the only one going the opposite of that. And so take that information how you take it, but Dan is the one saying, don't sell your large caps, whereas every other analyst is saying, trim them. Dan thinks they're going to compound another 25% next year.
Time. I think you may have moved us an hour later. I'm not sure along the way.
It started off at 9 p.m. Now it's 10 p.m.
Okay, it's 10 p.m. Dan, there is this question as to, are investors going to start to demand to see a real return from all the investment that's been made, the hundreds of billions, frankly, that will have been invested and will be invested in the coming year as well by the hyperscalers, for example. Do you think that demand will be made, and will it be met?
Look, that's been the big question. I think we started to see that inflection point with the Messi of AI Palantir. Because I think if you look at Palantir, that was the first one in the use case that we start to now see these things play out across enterprise. Then Salesforce, that was a huge moment what we saw from Benioff in terms of that last quarter. I actually think software is going to be the key. I think the use cases are expanding across the board. I mean, we have use cases and enterprises that we're talking to up 5x. In terms of deploying AI and what I ultimately use cases, even over the last 6 months. And I think that is going to be the key as this all plays out. Look, $2 trillion of CapEx, AI CapEx next 3 years. Fighting that is going to be tough. And that's what I continue to say. The bears can find AI in the spreadsheets. I get it. These companies have to execute. But execution's been there. Now it's going to be about the rest of tech. That's why we laid out. Those are the top 10 plays that we see for AI in 2025.
In terms of enterprise AI in particular, you think the two best software plays are Palantir and Salesforce. What are some examples of software companies that you are more doubtful of their AI potential?
Look, I think Adobe, you'd have to be a little more doubtful in terms of, what they can do. I think obviously still a huge potential. I think when you look at, I think IBM's had a lot of success, but to me, it's really who are the ones proving it out. It's Palantir. It's Salesforce. I think it's MongoDB. It's Snowflake. I think Oracle's having a huge renaissance of growth. And then you're also going to see, with Khan done at the FTC, you are going to see M&A skyrocket across tech. These big tech players are going to get stronger. They're going to get bigger. And I think that's going to be a huge theme that plays out across 2025 as the strong get stronger.
Dan, just tell me why.
AKA winners win. And, I feel like I have to agree. I don't like this thesis of selling Amazon and buying small caps. I don't love it. I like winners win. And I think although it'll be bumpy, winners will still win at the end of 2025. And those winners are probably going to be large cap tech.
I shouldn't be concerned if I own Palantir that it trades at 50 times sales and that the insiders have been selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock in the last 6 weeks and it's gone vertical and they keep trying to goose it by getting into different index. It just feels like a very promotional situation for an admittedly strongly positioned company that just seems like it's become a little bit of a cult.
Yeah, look, Mike,
First of all, it's not a little bit of a cult. It's a lot of it of a cult. So if he's going to call it a cult, he should get it right.
Bull bear debate. It's almost reached Tesla-like sort of emotional bull bear debate on Palantir. Look, to me, it's not about in the next year in terms of what this thing's trading at. I view it as, can Palantir be the next Oracle, the next Salesforce? If that's true, and I believe that's true, then this is a name that goes much higher from here. In terms of what you're talking about, I think that's why you got to focus on AIP as they prove out this sort of enterprise use cases. And can this be something that expands to ultimately 30-40% of this overall revenue? I think that's the key. But I don't get too caught up in some of the noise. I just focus on all of our checks, And that's why Palantir, look, the haters, they hate it as a teenager, as a stock, despise it as a senior citizen. And I think this is a stock that has potential to be 3 digits and higher.
Finally, Dan, I'd love to end on Microsoft because, and again, as I said, you've been right to be bullish, and so many of the names that you've been behind have had great years. Microsoft is not. It's trailed certainly mega cap tech. It's trailed the S&P. It's only up less than 13% for the year. Why are you positive on the stock going into 2025?
Yeah, and then look, that's one I think others have sort of joined when you look at Google and you look at Amazon in terms of the hyperscaler. A lot of it is, it's all the work we do talking to Microsoft partners. I think as these use cases and all these cloud deployments start to come through, I think the street's massively underestimating Azure numbers. And I think ultimately what AI is going to do, I believe this could be 10, 15% incremental revenue over the next 12 to 18 months. I actually think Microsoft is probably one of the most mispriced on large cap. It was Google, but I think going in 2025, that's why it's a table pounder along with the godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA. And I think $4 trillion will be on the horizon for Apple, Microsoft, and of course for NVIDIA too.
All right, but wait.
All right, that's what you got from Dan Ives. Look, in terms of what the host said about Palantir, I think someone said in the chat as well, Tesla, a little bit of rebound right here, up 1%. So Tesla bouncing from 415 to 420. I think he was acting like a cult stock is bad, you know, and the biggest cult stock in the world, everyone should know, is Apple. Like Apple has the largest cult fans on the planet. I wouldn't say I'm part of the Apple cult, but I basically am. I have 5 different Apple devices that I'm looking at right now, right? I got my AirPods, 2 Macs, an iPhone, and then an iPad. And so it's like, although I don't like profusely care that much about Apple, I use their products every day. And so, but the point is, I'm never going to switch. And because I'm never going to switch, I guess I'm part of the cult. I think it's the same thing with Palantir. If you believe in it as an investor and you believe in the thesis and you understand it and the thesis doesn't change and you only see expansion on the thesis, that's a cult that I think is productive to be in. And ultimately, cult stocks are the ones that outperform because they have a dedicated base of people that actually care about it. Now, I did a video last night on the UBS price target. So for those that haven't seen it, you can check it out. It was the best report I have ever read on Palantir. And essentially, if you go through the report and you read what the customers are saying, they're saying pretty much that, look, there are some concerns on Palantir in terms of the pricing and in terms of the closed versus open ecosystem that they provide. But from a technology perspective, it is the best of the best. And there's no doubting that. And that's why UBS says, look, we know it's expensive at $80. That's our price target. But we believe Palantir deserves, and I quote, a material multiple premium to their software peers. And the fact that, you know, UBS is willing to go out on a limb and say that they deserve that premium is probably because they believe that there is definitely something special with Palantir. Bitcoin right here, 95,500. Robinhood at 38.75. That's up 1%. MSTR struggling to stay above 300, but it is above it for now. MSTX still below 40, which is disgusting, dude. I mean, this is bad. This is very bad. If you bought MSTX last night on the 20% dip after the 18% dip, you are still red right now, which is just, it's just crazy. Like that, this thing is actually tanking even further. Even though it's green right now, it's still down from where it was yesterday. So MSTX, that one's still getting hit right now. Rumble is up a little bit. TLT finally getting some movement there. TLT is at 88. I think the 10-year continues to show some weakness. Yeah, 4.52. Maybe we can get that to 4.4. TLT maybe to 100, which wouldn't be horrible. Nike's up 1.5. That's not too bad. TSLL up 1.58. And Tesla, a little bit of a rebound from 415 back up to 420 here right now. All right. That's what we got going on in the pre-markets. Thomas says GME is also a cult stock, so I don't think it's inherently good or bad. It just depends. Yeah. I mean, there are some cults that, you know, like I think there's a lot of cults that are forming around a lot of these small caps that we're seeing take off randomly in a day. You know, some of those cults can survive, some of them can't, but I think with Palantir, it's not even a question. You know, this is like the beautiful thing about Palantir is that it's a cult, which I just interpret it as like a really passionate community around a real company. You know, it's not the AMCs and the GameStops of the world that there are companies, but they're not really real companies the way I would interpret a real company to be. Even MSTR, I don't think it's a real company. It's a vehicle to collateralize debt and yield Bitcoin, but it's not really a company to me. But there's a big cult around MSTR as well. And that's what's really allowed the stock price to go up 8x this year, even after a 50% drawdown. So I don't think it's an insult. I think it's something to be interpreted positively. It's just a question of what the company is that has the cult around it. Scarlett says, we got rid of all Apple products at my house. They kept advertising Kamala, and while I support women's rights, I don't need constant propaganda. Apple products were advertising Kamala. I didn't know that. Well, there's reasons that people get into something, people get out of something. In general, Apple has been kind of political throughout the years. They've definitely had political moments. They've also stayed away from it. I mean, the fact that Tim Cook's visiting Trump, which, by the way, I was reading some articles last night, and apparently, whatever happened at that meeting, one of the sources said in the article that Cook got the job done. He is going to get Apple excluded from the tariffs. That was the gist of the article. So if that meeting went well, and you're an Apple shareholder, then hopefully iPhones are not going to be tariffed as much as some of these other products because of Tim Cook negotiating with Trump, which is what he did in 2018. I mean, Tim Cook has played this game pretty strongly over the past 8 years to get the job done. All right, what other headlines do we have today? Glitch Life says today is an expiration day, so the trading and volume day is mostly options expiration. Yeah, I don't imagine there's a ton of fund managers actually sitting and legitimately trading right now. I mean, it's New Year's Eve, so I would imagine a lot of it's algorithms and options expirations that are low volume today. Let me show up this. This is a really interesting clip. So this is a minute 39 seconds. This is the Perplexity co-founder or founder talking about what advertising could look like in the next decade. This is a take I've never heard before. I don't think any of you guys have heard before, unless you're deep into tech and AI agents. Take a listen to this. If he's correct about this, Google's advertising model will change overnight, and Perplexity might become like $1 trillion company if they're first to innovate on this advertising. Right now, they're worth $9 billion. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I think there's an argument here. So here's his new take on what advertising will look like in the age of AI.
Actually, one thing I've been just hypothetically thinking about is how would it look like if the ads are at the level of agents, AI agents? Like the user never sees an ad, right? So unlike Google, the different merchants are not competing for users' attention; they're competing for the agents' attention. That'll be very interesting, right? I haven't it's brands need to first get comfortable doing this. Because what does it even mean for you to pay a certain dollar budget for agents that are you're bidding amongst each other for the agents' attention?
So the moment I say, hey, I'm going to go to Ranthambore for 2 nights, plan my schedule, do my bookings.
Yeah.
And the moment on the back end, the agent begins to do that,
Yeah.
you will have 5 travel companies or platforms or
Correct.
airlines
Yeah.
competing for the agent's attention.
Correct.
And that whole advertising economy, I mean, they must probably be then bidding for the lowest price or whatever is the setting that I give.
Yeah.
But all of that happens without me ever having to, human user ever having to see an ad.
And the interesting thing is the agent can be it can spend a lot more compute power, so therefore it can still be aware that all these brands are advertising for my attention, and despite that benefit from the advertising revenue. So that would be pretty interesting to consider, and I just want to stay away as a user from all of it.
Dude, I heard that last night and I was like, holy crap. So let's break that down a little bit. Right now, if I go on Google and I type in flights to California, I get a bunch of sponsored links from United, American Airlines, yada, yada, saying, hey, book your flight to California. And if I click it, it's called pay-per-click. They give Google a certain amount of money because Google got my attention to give them the click because they sponsored the link. And then if I pay $500 for a plane ticket and they spent $50 for the click, they have a 10x ROI on that cost per click. What this guy's talking about is saying, what if in the future you're never going to say, hey, flights to California? You're going to literally talk to Google Assistant or talk to Siri, or you're going to have an AI agent inside of your schedule that knows you're about to go to California, and it's going to start going through the process of filtering through all the choices to then get you that flight. And then United Airlines is not going to be advertising you. It's going to be advertising against the agent, which means there's like an orchestra of agents inside of the new Google advertising ecosystem. And every time you ask Google or you say out loud to your Google Home, hey, I want to go to California, book it for February 17th. United Airlines is then attacking an agent or bidding for an agent, and then American Airlines is bidding for an agent, and that agent then somehow is able to take the best bid that they get from the advertiser, and then they're able to then book via United or American Airlines to be able to get you the flight. That would be really wild, because think about it. The thing that has made the internet free for the past year, S&P going green, by the way, Bitcoin trying to get back to 96K. The thing that has made the internet free for the past 20, 30 years has been advertising. Advertising is what subsidizes all of the usage of the internet, right? Otherwise, billions of people would not be using it because no one's going to pay a subscription for every single website. But the hard part is advertising has been the most annoying part of the internet, right? It's like everywhere you go, you have these pop-up ads, you have to click, it's annoying, all that stuff. If that goes away and agents are the ones, Robinhood 3898, are the ones that are controlling the advertising spend, and people don't have to actually engage with the ads anymore, I mean, that would be an insane new world we live in. And I don't know if that's possible, because I feel like advertising intrinsically requires some level of consumer attention. But then again, if all the attention from consumers is on the agents, not on them typing in flight to California, but them just saying, hey, send me a flight to California, then maybe that's where the agentic part of advertising comes into place. Then they are agents basically thinking for us. Correct. That's basically what this would happen. So I don't know. I shared that because I thought it was very interesting, dude. Like, I've never thought of the concept of agents. Palantir going green, Robinhood there at 39 as well. I never thought about the concept of agents taking over the advertising complex. Palantir 77.35 right here, because I always thought agents required or advertising required consumer attention, but it still is going to use consumer attention, just in a different form factor. I still think we're far away from agents like being able to book your flight to California. But if it happens in the next couple of years, I mean, it makes sense why United Airlines would like advertise to the agent versus to the consumer, because they're working with the agent to get the ticket booked, not with the consumer, because the consumer is not on United's website anymore. The agent's doing everything, right? It's just, it's a pretty interesting dynamic that we would get into over the next 5 years. Josh says, AI agents thinking for you is not good. Let them do the work, but think for yourself. Yeah, I think people will have different interpretations on it. I think there's going to be some people that do want AI agents to like do the work for them. I mean, that's what kind of robo-advising is for investing, right? You're literally telling a robo-advisor, hey, make me a portfolio and just, you know, have these key pillars and then do the rest. So, I mean, there is a world in which people do want agents to think for them, but there's also a world where people want to have some input in regards to the outcome of what the agents decide. But for booking a flight, look, I always go United. So I would not want the agent to decide to take me to American Airlines or something just because I'm used to going United. So I would say, hey, book me a flight, United, make sure it's not super late at night, make sure it's after my market close, give me enough hours to be able to get to the airport. Like, if I could give those prompts and it just does everything and figures it out, it would be kind of wild, bro. It would be a whole new world that we'd be living in. All right, Bitcoin getting a little bit of a rebound, 95,550. IWM's up 1%. Qs are up a little bit. S&P's up a little bit. So we had a 9:30 slam. We're having a little bit of a 10 a.m. reversal. Does this reversal turn into something that's actually green? I don't know. But we are definitely feeling some green. Tesla's trying to recover, but it just can't. It got to 423 from 415. Now it's back to 420. You see this massive red candle right there from 423 to 420. It's trying to hold on. It is trying to hold on right now. Bitcoin hopefully ends the day over 100K. Hopefully. Right now it's struggling over 95, but it's trying to get there. Coinbase is still red. MSTR slightly green. MSTR basically $1 away from going red right now. So MSTR not holding up as well currently. John says, Amit, imagine you have $500 in your account and an agent books a plane ticket and now you're broke until payday next week. Well, hopefully the agent will be smart enough to like know that if they spend everything in your bank account, you're not going to have any money left, right? And they're able to intelligently determine that $500 is too much, or at least ask you if you want to unload your bank account on a plane ticket. Like, this is the level of sophistication we need from these agents, but we're not there yet. And hopefully, hopefully we get there. Q's at 516, S&P 500 589.9. Color's down 15%. All right, so Color's getting hit. This one was up 1,000% for the year. I still think it is up basically 900%. down on the day, down 15%. It looks like it'll probably close above $3 or at least $2.50 today. So it still will be up pretty well for the year, but it is down on the day. Nvidia also getting hit, down about 0.65%. Did you guys see the news on Nvidia yesterday around ByteDance? Apparently ByteDance, which is the owner of TikTok, is spending $7 billion in fresh money on Nvidia chips next year. So super bullish Nvidia. For everyone who thinks Nvidia is super cyclical, I mean, when you're getting $7 billion from one company, Nvidia did $35 billion of revenue last quarter. So they are getting 20% of their last quarter's revenue from one company next year in 2025 just for their chips. Now, the weird thing here is, though, is TikTok going to be banned? Because if TikTok's banned, I don't know if ByteDance, from America at least, I don't know if ByteDance has the incentive to spend this much money on chips because they just lost 170 million users if TikTok actually gets banned. I'm leaning towards TikTok doesn't get banned. I think there's an argument that Trump's going to find a way to get the Supreme Court to keep it open, at least for another 90 days. But if it does get banned, that is one thing that might stop massive chip sales from Nvidia to ByteDance because they might just not need that many chips. But nonetheless, if they're getting ready to pay that much money, they probably do want to be on the cutting edge. Also, the China restrictions, like Nvidia is not really allowed to sell chips to these Chinese companies, at least a certain quality of chips. So if ByteDance wants like the Blackwells, I don't know if Nvidia is even allowed to sell those legally. So that's another thing that we're going to have to see play out in order for them to get that $7 billion. Tesla right here, barely holding on. It's going back to 419 right here, 418. It rebounded from 416 to 423 after opening at 428. Now back at 418 and struggling to hold on to its green. Grab is red on the day. Nvidia's red 1%. Archer's down 1/3%. And then SoFi right here up about 0.23% right now. I believe we are doing Technical Tuesday today. I believe so. I will text Jason to make sure. But I believe so. If we're not, then that means Jason's busy for the holiday, which is fair. But if he's not, then we'll be live today. Amit, can you explain how they banned TikTok? How will they stop me from using an app on my phone that I already have? So I don't know exactly the technical way they ban it, but from my understanding, and I could be wrong, someone can correct me in the chat, the IP address that our cell phones and our laptops, et cetera, use to access TikTok will be banned from the United States. This happened in India. Again, I was in India in October. I tried to load up TikTok. It was on my phone and it just wouldn't load. And I thought the Wi-Fi was bad. And then I asked my aunt, I was like, why isn't TikTok working? And she's like, TikTok's not legal here. It's banned. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it's banned. I was like, oh. And then I went to Instagram and Instagram was working fine. So it'll literally just, you wake up one morning and it just won't load. That's it. Which again, I think, honestly, from a national security perspective, yeah, that's probably the right thing to do. It's just, that's a lot of people that use TikTok. I mean, like the way I use Twitter and YouTube to like build my media brand, there are millions of people that use TikTok exclusively to build their media brand, to build their audiences, to build their attention, to sell products from their e-commerce website. I think national security takes precedence over all of that, but still, I think that getting banned would flip things up overnight. The company that it would be bullish for is Meta and Google, to be honest. But I think Meta in particular, because Instagram Reels is more like TikToks than YouTube Shorts. But everyone, what did I do in India? I just went from TikTok to Instagram. 170 million people in the United States are just going to go from TikTok to Instagram. And I think that is super bullish Meta if that does happen. That's why Meta went up 5% 2 weeks ago when it was a rumor that TikTok's officially getting banned. But then they went down after Trump said that he's taking it to the Supreme Court. So we're going to have to see. Doug says, Amit, the company will be compelled to geofence U.S. IP addresses. Yeah. So there will be some geofencing around those IP addresses, and that'll make it impossible to then use TikTok. I don't think the VPN is going to make it work. I think the VPN is still, like, when it's banned from an entire country, I don't think the VPN is, I mean, maybe the VPN would work. You know, I didn't try a VPN in India to use TikTok, to be honest. I actually don't know. So maybe a VPN works, but still, the majority of people are not going to download a VPN. I mean, people are just going to move. Consumers are sticky until they're not. Consumers are sticky until they're not. They'll be loyal to something, but as soon as you start giving them headaches, they'll leave. You know, they're just not going to use it. And Bitcoin right here, barely holding 95. Looks like it might hit 94. But if TikTok's a hassle to access, consumers will just go to Instagram and YouTube, and it's not that different from TikTok. It's kind of the same content, even though the vibe on TikTok is different. But yeah, it'll definitely be something that makes it harder for people to use it more often. Sent you a Grok generated list for stocks for 2025. Grok likes big tech. Yeah, let me check that out in a second. Grok has been, I've been using Grok a lot more, just asking it questions. It's getting a lot more smarter. And if you ask it questions about stocks, it's able to actually interpret a lot of the news on Twitter, because there's a lot of news on Twitter about stocks, and give you a decent rundown. So Grok is heating up along with OpenAI. We talked about this yesterday as well. OpenAI is going to cause Microsoft to miss a couple cents on EPS because OpenAI lost a couple $1 billion. So Microsoft's going to have to mark down those losses on their earnings. So MSFT will have a couple of cents of losses next quarter. But Satya Nadella gave a quote yesterday to CNBC, and he was basically like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we still believe in the long-term vision of OpenAI. So that is one that is still yet to play out. And that's why it's also nice that XAI is not public, because Elon doesn't have to worry about them losing money. He just has to worry about them having the best tech, because he doesn't have to actually report those numbers. Palantir now going red, down 1.6%. So Palantir's red. Oh, there's Tesla going red, 416, back to red. The entire market just went red. I think everything went red. The S&P, yep. S&P is 4 cents away from going red. The Qs, goodness gracious, down 30.30%. We had a reversal at 10 a.m. It's now 10:12. Even Robinhood, dude. Robinhood was at 39. It's right back to 38.32. We are not able to hold up the green today, folks. We are just not able to. Marathon's down. MSTR has to be red at this point. MSTR is officially red, 301.77. Apple's red. Palantir's red. Intel holding on 1%, but that looks like it could go red. AMD as well, down about 0.5% today. Yeah, we reversed the reversal, dude. We reversed the reversal. Oh my God, where's MSTX then? Holy crap, where's that thing? Goodness gracious, 38.32. Oh boy, why couldn't we end green for the year? I guess because we were so green during the year. I mean, what? Okay, so put in the chat, what is your thesis on why we couldn't have a Santa Claus rally for the end of the year? Because I went through my analysis last night, and I went through like a ton of reasons. 10-year, low volume, selling. I thought the rally actually happened on Christmas Eve. That was our Santa Claus rally. But if you guys had to sum it up into one reason, what is the reason that you think we are not able to have a beautiful Santa Claus rally into the end of the year? Which, look, we have 5 hours left. You never know. We might reverse the reversal of the reversal. But what do you guys think? Taxes. Okay, that's fair. That's a reason. It was already priced in. I actually think this is one of the best reasons, to be honest. It's similar with what Chris is saying right here. We already had it. I do think Christmas Eve was our rally, bro. Christmas Eve was a beautiful day in the stock market. And it was literally a Santa Claus rally on Christmas. And now this whole New Year's Eve rally that is technically supposed to be a Santa Claus rally, that's just happened kind of earlier on Christmas Eve. Uncertainty, that could definitely be a reason. We definitely have a lot of uncertainty with Trump coming into office in a few weeks. Jojo says we went up too much already. I think that is fair. Powell is definitely, if Powell had, and it's so ironic because in 2023, remember when the S&P was trading at like 420 and Powell said, yeah, we're going to do 3 cuts next year. That was a reversal. And the S&P gapped up at the end of December. You can see it right here. We were at 402 in October 2023. Then by December, we were at 440-ish. And then Powell gave his announcement that we're going to have 3 cuts. And you can see this move right here. We went all the way to 470 by 12/28, 2023. So we had a Santa Claus rally kind of based on Powell being bullish. This year, Powell ended up just not being as bullish. And that sent us from 607 all the way back down to 577. Now we're here at 590. So it's kind of the opposite of 2023 when it came to Powell trying to hold up this Santa Claus rally. People are front running everything. I think that's fair. We went up 60% on a lot of stocks in 2 to 3 months. I think that is also fair. There's definitely a lot of fear. All these CNBC people are talking about a correction. This is another big reason. I mean, there are a lot of people on CNBC discussing the inevitability of some massive correction. And look, I don't think they necessarily have to be wrong because, like, yeah, we could get a correction. We're up a lot. It's just every single way. Have you guys ever seen that video of all the news networks talking in the same way? I know some of you guys have seen that video. I wish I could find it and I could share it with you guys. It was this video of all of them having the same script and like literally like like all of them. Oh, there it is. I found it. Look at this. Dozens of news stations using the same script word for word. This is what it felt like watching CNBC yesterday in terms of people saying to sell your large caps. Look, take a look at this video.
Responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets.
You guys get the point. So essentially, this was when misinformation, disinformation, that was becoming like a super, super, super big topic in the media. It's kind of died down a little bit. But you've got legacy journalism. I'll put the link in the chat for those that want to watch the full video. Legacy journalism and legacy media that obviously wants to keep the attention that they have. What is the best way to keep their attention? They have to convince the general public that, hey, all these independent content creators and sources you're listening to that are taking away your attention from legacy mainstream news, that's misinformation, it's fake news, and you should stay away from it because it's a threat to democracy. And so there's only a couple of news stations that own all the other mini news stations, like Fox News Alabama in some local county is owned by Fox News Corporation. And Fox News Corporation has thousands of these small stations across the entire country. And so when you watch that video, you kind of see how all of them kind of interact on the same talking points and they act in the same way. And this is quite frankly how the media coordinates different narratives. You know, the best example to bring this back to stocks, Celsius. So in what was the year or what was the month? It was, I believe, March of this year. If you had looked up the issues with Celsius, the number one issue was 200 milligrams of caffeine in the drinks. And then there was some chemical, I'm forgetting the technical name of the chemical, but some chemical, midazoline or something, I'm totally butchering it, but some chemical that's in Celsius is producing negative effects on kids. That was the story, right? And that's also why Celsius took a hit. If you looked at the Associated Press, which is a news organization that owns thousands of different small blogs and websites and radio stations, that was the narrative in terms of the article headline that was running across thousands of different websites that day. On the Alabama Associated Press, on the New York City Associated Press, on the West Philadelphia Associated Press, because all of them have to share the same content, the same headlines. And what's juicier than a headline about a drink that potentially could kill you that immediately gets clicks and attention? And so it's not a coordinated attack that was done on Celsius, but it was rather the media coming together to form a narrative. And then if you have millions of people consuming that content, you get a lot of people that think, okay, Celsius is bad for me, I'm not going to buy the drink. And then the stock can then tank. So from that perspective, that is what I think we're seeing in regards to some of the mainstream narrative. The reason I even brought this up is to take it back to CNBC. It's like every single analyst, and I'm not joking about this, I listened to a lot of them yesterday, it was sell your freaking large cap. And when you see all of them agreeing on one thing, it's not like they have to be wrong, but it's just kind of scary seeing all of them act in the same way, because it's just like, all right, does that have to happen at that point? Does it have to be just like that? So I guess we'll see in 2025 how bad large caps turn out to be, or if being the contrarian here, being Dan Ives, who honestly is the contrarian right now against all the other analysts, ends up being the right way to go down this route. What else do we have? Months ago, I quit drinking Celsius because it gave me migraines when Bubbler or Monster Red Bull does not. You know, Celsius, I think, is bottoming here. I think that a lot of the, I mean, again, it's down from $100. So you would imagine that this thing doesn't tank below 20 unless they mess up earnings. But same thing like AMD and Celsius, sentiment is at all-time lows. Although there are legit issues with growth inside both of those companies, they should be able to rebound if they have a good quarter. And so maybe these are the names that are the ones to look at in 2025 because large cap is too extended. Or maybe Amazon just keeps executing and investors pile into Amazon. I think it's going to be a really interesting debate next year on how the analyst community is interpreting large caps. Because look, if Amazon goes up 10%, guess what? They're going to start saying buy Amazon. Like it'll be overnight. They're going to start saying buy Amazon. Like because they have to. They have to chase it. Right now, they feel comfortable saying sell Amazon because they think it's extended. But if they are wrong on that call, you're going to see a lot of analysts saying pile into big tech because big tech is the safest place to keep your money. Let's get an update on big tech and the semiconductor sector from the suits. Let's see what they're saying there, and then we'll keep going after this.
Remember, but even more so over the last 6 months, as Mike's pointed out a number of times, kind of flat. Christina Partsinevelos has been tracking that action while she covers this industry.
Yeah.
Overall for us.
I have. I won't start with NVIDIA because I know you talked about it. And
We haven't talked about it enough today.
Oh, is that sarcasm?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
Jim Kramer's not here. Usually in the 9 to 10, we must mention it at least 27 times.
Okay, well, for our audience that maybe gets a little bit bored hearing about NVIDIA all the time, I'll start with the broader sector because it was definitely all the rage in 2024. As the semi-industry ETF saw growth of nearly 40%, and I say this SMH, SOX, all of those, and those outpaced the broader U.S. market. But zoom out, and that wasn't as impressive as 2023 when the AI boom first kicked off and everybody was just scrambling to get a piece of the pie. Outlook for the chip space does hinge on the success. Now I can talk about NVIDIA, but one of its bellwethers, NVIDIA. Although shares have remained pretty flat just over the last 2 months or so, NVIDIA shares still skyrocketing over 180% this year. There's no doubt the GPU king will continue its reign, but there's still debate right now. And this is a new narrative for this year, revolving around the time frame of that success. Recent checks show weaker demand for the current GPU, that would be the Hopper iteration, as customers are waiting for the latest Blackwell. That's the next iteration. So, they're not maybe holding off on some of their purchases to wait for the next and greatest. They also have been, there's been back and forth headlines about possible delays for said Blackwell, and then additional China chip restrictions. But investors really, of course, aren't fazed by these concerns. A key catalyst will be CES next week, where we'll hear from Jensen Huang, as well as the CFO Colette Kress, about the future of AI computing and possible financial goals and updates for Blackwell. NVIDIA and several other AI winners like Marvell, ARM, Broadcom, chip manufacturer TSMC have all fared well over the year, bringing an average return of over 100%, outpacing that basket of chip names that we talked about, the SMH as well as the SOX. But the rest of the sector hasn't fared as well as those exposed, let's say, to auto and electronics. The PC refresh cycle, we heard from HP not too long ago, saying just really a slow start, and it's impacting names like AMD, memory maker Micron. We know their guidance was a lot weaker very recently, just a few weeks ago. Intel down 60% on the year, one of the worst. I guess 60% of its value lost in 2024, biggest drop in 53 years as a public company. So
Intel's got more than its share of issues.
Yes.
And in fact, I would assume it's going to be on your radar. It is for mine as well in 2025. Just, what's going to happen in terms of leadership there, not to mention in terms of the structure of the company itself.
Yeah, Altera, what's going to be spun off? How are they going to split it up? Who's the leader?
Will it be split up in some
Precisely.
fashion? Would you really see the bigger split that certainly people talk and speculate about in terms of manufacturing and design?
And I guess some of the debate, I spoke to an executive, another chip executive, who said that the problem with Intel is they tried to do too much all at once. And I know then the argument is, well, you had Pat Gelsinger, who came from the chip space, was really well versed in it, and had the drive and the ideas. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out, especially when you saw the loss of capital going into the manufacturing side, and the fact that they fell behind so many other chip makers. Even with their latest, they do have a GPU that's just really not up to par with what's out in the market right now.
You mentioned CES coming up. I mean, NVIDIA for several quarters was on this cycle of, please just tell us that the next thing is huge and it's going to happen and we can, kind of put it on the horizon. What are we waiting for specifically, if anything, to hear incrementally from Jensen Huang?
It would be Blackwell. So the Blackwell volume.
So it's the one we know we want the timing and
precisely.
Yeah.
That's what's driving the stock in the near term. I know you have talked about it in many ASIC or the custom-made chips will possibly take away this market or change NVIDIA's reign in the coming few years. But in the near term, it really rides on what is that next iteration. And not even after Blackwell, it'll be Rubin, right? So will there be any commentary about Rubin? And so it's constantly fueling that fire, right? Like the next and best thing is coming. Don't worry, because we're doing at least one new chip a year,
right,
which makes it so difficult for others to keep up when NVIDIA is so far ahead.
That's one of the bear cases for AMD is like, can they really keep up when NVIDIA's ahead? Now, granted, if AMD was at 200, that'd be a bear case, given AMD has fallen pretty aggressively. It turns less into a bear case, more so just like a earnings surprise that they can pop up for most people, given sentiment is low. But that is the beauty of NVIDIA. They are constantly working on the next generation, and Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they all need the best generation chips, which means they're constantly supplying the drugs for big cap tech to keep smoking on. And if that's the case, NVIDIA probably isn't as cyclical as people think. Tesla right here going green, 1.34. It looks like we're having a 1025 reversal of the reversal that already reversed, which means hopefully this is the final reversal and we don't flip red again. MicroStrategy is green again. Microsoft's green. Celsius is green. AMD is green. S&P just went green after going red. Look at the S&P chart today. Up and down, up and down, up, and then all the way down to 588, then back up. There's like 3 different Vs inside of this chart in the past hour. So I guess we're reversing the reversal. SoFi's at 1583. We have 4 minutes until 10:30. If we get a 10:30 slam after getting a 10:25 reversal, that would be hilarious, bro. Even Palantir, look at that. Look at that reversal on Palantir. Palantir's almost 78. It looks like a $75 close is possible. Maybe a run to 80 if the whole market can rally towards the end of the day. And then is Hood back at 39 or high 38? Let's see. Hood is 38.83. Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin reversing as well into the mid 95s. It was almost at 94 just now. Small caps are up 1%. Dude, this market is like, it doesn't know how it wants to end out the year. And we still have 5-6 hours left. Yes, I believe Technical Tuesday later. I'll confirm with Jason. Let me just text him right now. Let's see right now if he's free. And then we'll get his answer soon. Let's see. But most likely, we'll be doing it today. Unless he actually is busy and spending time with his family and stuff like that, like he should be doing. But we'll see. Jason loves it. Jason probably wants to brag about MicroStrategy. He's probably going to say yes because he probably wants to brag about calling the short. Look, him and Martin Shkreli, they nailed it. They nailed the MSTR short. They called it at like 370 roundabout. It's at 307. Not a bad short. They got it right. Dan Niles on CNBC yesterday recommending people stay in cash was the most brain dead thing I've ever seen in a while. Yeah, it was weird because the question was like, what is the most important thing you're thinking of in 2025? Cash, bonds, or equities? And he was like, cash. That's what you should be long next year, cash. And I'm like, I don't know. It's one thing to say you should have cash to buy the dip. It's another thing to say you should be in cash because then you're kind of assuming a bear market, right? You're assuming like cash is better than your cash deteriorating inside of equities. And I don't think it's a bear market next year. I didn't get to. Does anyone listen to me, Kevin? I didn't get to listen to him last night. Does anyone know what his new thesis is now? Does anyone know what his bearish thesis is? Ardashir says, if you don't do Technical Tuesday, can you read tarot cards? Look, Ardashir, just because male astrology keeps men excited for a few hours on which direction stocks can go, doesn't mean it's worthless, okay? I mean, technically, technicals are stupid, but there are moments when they're very important, right? And so, and even Jason would say the same. Jason would say technicals are not everything. He just like, when you're in it day in and day out, you can spot a lot of trends and like get a knack of understanding, entry points, exit points. For the far majority of people, technicals are more so just to discover, like if you're wheeling options to determine a strike price, technicals help. And then also if you're trying to enter into a position, right? Like at AMD, a lot of the technical folks are thinking this is like a legit bottom given the head and the shoulders and all this other stuff. Now, if it goes to 100, it's good. That's where technical analysis becomes bullshit again. But if they're right, then maybe that is a good way of analyzing how to enter into a stock. His new thesis is buy my course, so you will lose $3 million. I actually trying to listen. I actually want to know his thesis, bro. Like I actually want to understand what data he's looking at to get bearish. Like, I am curious because he kind of went bullish the past 2 months, right? Like he kind of went back to buying Tesla. He bought Tesla like $400, all that stuff. So it's not like he went super bearish after being super bearish in August. But if he's super bearish now, I am just curious what he's using to determine being bearish. Jason needs to do a tarot card reading on the show. You guys know I did a tarot card reading once with a girl that I liked. She was like, so I don't really believe in this astrology shit, right? Like I don't care, dude. It's not that serious to me. But like she really was into it, and we were on FaceTime. This was a couple years ago, and she was like, "Can I read your tarot or whatever?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I don't know what she pulled out of her deck or something, but she started saying X, Y, and Z, and I was like, "Damn, that makes a lot of sense. Holy crap! How did you know that? Goodness, that's like, dude, you're like really good at this." In reality, I was like, I don't know what the fuck she was saying. I was just was just trying to, you know, keep the conversation going. But like that's the only experience I've had with tarot cards or whatever you call them. But it's like she pulled out a card, she pulled it on her deck, she flipped the cards over, and then she was like, "This will happen in your life." And I was like, "All right, I can't believe that it's that accurate, but I guess that's the like way my life is going to turn out." You know, it's funny. My dad asked me the other day if I wanted to play the lottery, the Mega Millions, right? Who actually played the lottery? Put in the chat if you played the lottery. It was 1.2 billion, right? That was the prize. I think someone in California won it, and he called me like 30 minutes before the drawing because he was on the way back home, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to buy a ticket?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Why?" I was like, "He's like, I'm buying a ticket for myself." I was like, "I don't want a ticket." He was like, "Why not?" I was like, "Because I'm gonna lose." And he was like, "Yeah, but it's for the fun." I was like, "It's not just for the fun. I don't want to even act as if there is hope in some random thing that could create life-changing amounts of money because I want to work for it." I mean, like that, as cheesy as it sounds, first of all, I think people who win the lottery, a lot of times, it's more of a curse than a blessing, in my opinion, because everyone wants to know who the hell you are. And then if your address ever gets leaked or something, people know that you're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, it's not the most safe situation for everyone in the world to know that you just won $1 billion, right? First of all, that's the first thing. Second of all, I don't even want to act like I have a chance of winning something that's like 1 in a trillion chance, because I'd rather work for my success. And I think it's the same thing with astrology and tarot cards and all this stuff, and like your horoscope readings. Like, I'm not saying it's bad to pay attention to that stuff. I just think sometimes when you get so deep into it, because I know a couple people that are really deep into it, you start thinking because you're a Pisces or a Scorpio or a Libra or whatever, that your life has to go a certain way. And it's like, no, dude, you can make your life whatever you want to make it. Like, you can have the autonomy and freedom to actually change your own life, regardless of trusting the lottery or the tarot cards on your future. And so, you know, it was actually kind of a mature thing that I did. I was like, I don't want a lottery ticket. Why not? I don't. Derek says, why? It's good sleep medicine. But no, and you know, it's personal to me because my dad ran a liquor store growing up, and he had like lottery machine, right? And everyone, I told you guys the story before, but a lot of blue collar jobs would come in, nurses, mechanics, etc., and they would buy a pack of Newport Lights cigarettes. They would get a Jack Daniels or a Heineken, right? A little bit of liquor or beer. And then they would buy $100 worth of lottery tickets. Every week, every Friday, I would see all these people come in, and they would do, it was like drugs, cigarettes, liquor, and lottery. Cigarettes, because they're addicted. Alcohol, because probably a lot of them were addicted based on how many times they came to the store. And then lottery for hope. And I feel like that type of life can get kind of depressing sometimes, right? Because if your only hope is that you have this 1 in a trillion chance that you win millions and millions of dollars, like, then you're not actually working towards trying to build a foundation in life, which is much harder to actually work up to the $1 million yourself versus the lottery. But that hope is what keeps people going, and that hope to me is toxic. And I just rejected it. I was like, no, I don't want a lottery ticket. Forget it. I don't want it. So it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting when you get to that certain stage of life, how you kind of maneuver and think about, you know, where your future prospects are. But I'd rather work my ass off and make much less than whatever the lottery could give me one day. But remember that, like, you know, I worked for it. Because imagine I did win the lottery, bro. Imagine I won the lottery and I have $600 million. First of all, like, it wouldn't even it'd be fun trading in the market, because at that point it's just a game. Like, at that point, I didn't work for this money. I didn't go through the anxiety of sleeping late at night to make sure my positions would be okay. Like, I just was gifted 600 million, and then I can buy whatever I want in the stock market. By the way, all 600 million would go into Robinhood. I mean, Robinhood's biggest client ever at this point. And I'd just be buying shit to buy shit. Like, it'd be boring. It wouldn't be something you really worked for, you know? And so I guess that's the mindset I'm going into for 2025 as well. Wait till you hit 40, you'll be okay with the gift. Yeah, maybe I'm saying this because I'm young right now, and if you're older and, you know, you get more money, that'd also be. I don't think anyone would hate getting the money. It's just a question of how you get the money. You know, and at this age, I want to work for it. I just feel better working for it. I see a guy every week at the grocery store cashing winning tickets. He looks homeless. Yeah, dude, I had a lot of experience with people buying tickets. Dude, I sometimes ran the lottery machine when my dad was in the bathroom or something. Like, he taught me how to run it, and I literally learned how to, like, do the pick 3, pick 5, pick 6, get the scratch offs for people, scan the scratch off to see if they won money. My grandpa, by the way, when he was alive. He was in that liquor store with us pretty much every day, and he played the lottery like crazy. He actually got me into the lottery because he would just be playing like a couple $100 worth of lottery tickets every week, and he really was into it. And so there was a certain portion of my life I was into it, but then I realized, wait a second, the odds are literally stacked against me. Why am I paying for this? And then I realized the only reason is for hope. You're literally paying for hope. It's even different from Vegas. Vegas is like strategy with gambling and all this stuff. Like there's actually some fun to it, some dopamine. For the lottery, it's like the odds are so low to win that you're literally just hoping that hope is enough to keep you going. And so that's why I've stayed away from it for the better part of my adult life so far. All right, what other headlines do we have? Do we have anything else going on in the markets? Oh, here we go. All right, so we have here, I didn't watch this video. This is on CNBC. The title is How to Play. I have not watched this guy, but let's listen to him and let's see if he goes with the mainstream view. Now, this guy, I think, is a bit more bullish on large cap, so I think he'll say to own it. But let's see. Let's see if this guy, I haven't watched this video, goes with the mainstream narrative of sell large cap or to hold on to it.
Could be in store next year is Ray Wang. He is Constellation Research Principal Analyst, founder and chairman. Hi, Ray.
Hey, happy New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's Eve. Thanks for getting up early with us. What happens next year? Do we see this continuation with these mega tech stocks?
We definitely do, but we have to look at this differently. So we're big on AI, but the question is, what are the AI derivatives? So what are the second order, third order derivatives of AI? And so the second order ones are looking at software companies that are taking advantage of AI because most customers can't build it on their own. They're going to want to consume it. So companies like Salesforce, Adobe, ServiceNow, NVIDIA, Palantir, and Oracle are interesting because you're going to be looking at their services revenue much more than before. So, and the other piece that's going to be important is really a Mag 7 rotation. If you're afraid to get into all 7, well, then what you're going to do is move out of NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, and Apple and go into Amazon, Tesla, and Google and play that for the rest of the year.
Okay, so a little bit different than the mainstream narrative of selling off large cap, but rather he's saying there's rotation inside of large cap, which I think is more reasonable. But definitely on the more bullish side, that mega cap tech is going to be good next year.
Is that what you're advising?
Yes, definitely. If you're thinking about that, but I'm in all 7 of the Mag 7, so that's a different game. But we're also looking at IPO markets, and that's going to be very interesting on the tech side. There are a lot of IPOs coming. You see it on the Databricks side. You see Discord, Klarna. You see Stripe, Chime on the fintech side. They're also going to be big there, so people are going to want to play that game as well going into 2025.
That's a hell of a voice, isn't it? That's a hell of a voice. It definitely sounds a little AI. It's a very deep voice for someone like that. But look, so basically his argument is, hey, be long large caps, but have rotation inside of large caps, which I think is fair. I think that's fair. So again, you got some analysts that are actually saying large cap is the story, but the far majority of them saying definitely trim and get into small caps. Tesla right here bouncing a little bit, 421. So we did get a little bit of a 1030 reversal. We went from 425 to 421. Did Palantir go red? Yeah, Palantir went red again, folks. Holy crap. We were at 77.60. Now we're back below 77. We got to 77.60 at 1025. Now it's at 1039. And it looks like we had a little bit of a reversal at 1030. This market's wild, bro. This market is absolutely wild. I mean, the fact that we're going back and forth within an hour, like 7 times, just means there's either low liquidity or these are algos that are just messing with the market right now. This is not like real volume that's coming in. Microsoft just went red. MicroStrategy holding on to 307. Bitcoin trying to get back to 96. And then Google still flat on the day. The Qs are slightly green and the S&P is slightly green as well right now. It is weird that the market's open today the full day as well. I thought the market would either be closed or on a half day. So there's a lot of hours for these algorithms to just have fun with and do whatever they want to do. The volume is so low. Yes. Where's Palantir's volume right now? Palantir's volume is it's not low, 18 million shares, but it's definitely not. Usually around this time it's closer to 26 million from my understanding. So it's definitely lower than usual, but it's not low at 18 million. MSTR is at 6 million shares. I think that's a little low for MSTR. SoFi's at 6 million. Robinhood's at 3.7 million. Tesla's at 23 million. So we do have some volume, but it's definitely not the levels we would have on a regular trading day. Then you got Google right here at 192. That one is slightly down as well. It's a literal roller coaster. Yeah, it's a literal roller coaster. Are you doing a dividend show? So for those that missed that dividend show, I did it with Steve on Black Friday. So if you go back to the market close from Black Friday, we just scroll down. I think it's in the title, Amit Dividend Stream. We talked for like 2 hours on different dividend stocks. The one that he's looking at the most right now, Steve, is SLB, Schlumberger, oil servicing company, up 1.27% right now. I think there's a 3% dividend, 2.8% dividend. But honestly, guys, I'm just going to, for my dividend plays, I think I'm just going to be buying the Schwab dividend ETF for whatever dividend investing I do. Because I'm not fully passionate about any dividend name. The only one that I would really consider is Nike, because I think Nike could give me capital appreciation along with a dividend. But I have not done enough due diligence on Nike to like really be excited for it. It would be following Ackman. That's it. And I don't even know if Ackman still holds it. Like, I'm curious if he actually sold out of it yet, or if he. I don't think he is, because he's 16 million shares. You tend to go long if you're that heavy in the name. But I don't have a favorite dividend name yet. The other one would be Altria Group. I like Altria Group, but outside of them, there's not that many dividend names that are that exciting. Oh crap! Hold on. We were supposed to get some hood news today, right? Oh shit! Hold on. I think it came out. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, they said today we would get some December data, right? Oh crap! They gave us December data. Holy crap! They gave us December data. It's on. Did Vlad tweet it? Oh shit! Did he? Hold on. Let me get it. I forgot today they did say they would give us like a color of what December looks like. Where is it? Financials, events. Is this it? I'm beneficial. Where'd you get a newsroom? It's in the newsroom. Okay, got it. I was on the investor page. Oh boy, we're about to see how Robinhood ended Q4. They never give us the last month. The fact that they're giving us the last month is definitely bullish. That means they want to show us the results. Oh yeah, here we go. Robinhood shares select December 2024 month-to-date trading volumes. Oh crap. We got it. So from Sunday, December 1st through Friday, December 27th, equity notional trading volumes 137 billion, options 150 million, similar to November, and crypto 28 billion. Wow. Holy crap. So last month, they did 35 billion in crypto. They did 28 billion in the first 27 days this month. That's really good. Last quarter, they did 15 billion. So that's double the quarter that they did in Q3 for Q4 in 1 month, which is incredible. Options, 150 million, basically all 3 months. So you got 450 million in options. And then equity trading volumes, I think it was 145 billion. So a little bit less than November, but still 137 billion is gigantic. So you got 3 big metrics. We don't have all the metrics like deposits or new users or anything, but they gave the metrics in terms of the actual trading volumes, which is not bad. This is what we had for November. So for November, we had 147 billion in equities. This time we had 137. Options, we had 155. December, we had 150. Crypto, we had 35 billion. This time we had 28 billion. Again, there's still a couple days left, 4 days left that Robinhood didn't show. So in those 4 days, that could catch up to the amount of trading volumes that we saw in November. But definitely a very, very strong month for December. Yeah, basically $1 billion a day in crypto trading. And Robinhood has a massive take rate on crypto trading compared to options or equities. Not bad at all. That is big for Hood. Q4, by the way, we had someone on Hood Weekly last night, chemical engineer who is really rooted in math and science. And he's a big Hood investor, started buying at 17. And he did the math for us. And based on these numbers now, his math kind of lines up. It looks like Robinhood's going to have $1 billion of revenue in Q4. If not $1 billion, very close to $1 billion. And we know this because Seeking Alpha has updated their Robinhood earnings expectations from $650 million to $819 million to now $850 million they're expecting in revenue. So you've had revenue estimates and earnings per share estimates change over the past couple of weeks as the street starts to recognize that Hood's going to have one of the best quarters that we've seen in the markets. So not bad for Hood. Look, like to me, I think 38 is still cheap here. It's just a question of if the market can hold up. Because if the macro if the macro holds up, I think Robinhood's a $50 stock like pretty soon. If the macro doesn't hold up, which all of the mainstream media is saying that we're going to get some massive correction soon, then Robinhood's probably going back below 30, but that would be a phenomenal opportunity, in my opinion. Like that would be a great time to get into the name if we go back to like 27, 28. But to get there, we would have to go down 30%, which means the market would have to go down at least 10 to 15%. And, we're going to have to see if we actually do get that type of a correction. So if we don't, I think we hold in the 30s and expand to the 40s after earnings and then maybe 50s as they keep executing. But if we get a correction, then maybe we get a chance to reload in the high 20s. Bitcoin right there, 95,400. Qs just went red again. And the S&P just went red again today. S&P slightly green. It's holding on a little bit. But the Qs are red. Which media is saying we're going down? All I see is up. I mean, you do have some media that is long-term bullish, but in the short term, you got a lot of analysts that believe that there's a 10 to 15% correction coming on large caps. Which again, look, it wouldn't be the craziest thing if that happens. Would anyone really be upset if they get to buy Meta at $500 or Google at $140? I don't think anyone would be upset. It's just, the pain of the red is something everyone has to deal with. But that's another thing about this whole idea of the secular bull market. Like in 2022, the reason we went red and we kept going red, A, was because we kept raising interest rates, but B, because a lot of people were wondering if like Meta, Google, Amazon, these companies were actually going to be the most important companies in the world. As for the past 2 years, 2023, 2024, it is undeniable. These are going to be the most important companies in the history of the world, which means if you get a correction on them, that these companies are not slowing down. They're not slowing down CapEx spend. They're not slowing down AI, R&D. They're not slowing down cloud computing. They're not slowing down advertising. They're not slowing down anything, which means this is why I think Dan Ives' thesis is so simple. It's like, if there is a dip, you buy because these companies are going nowhere. And if these companies are going nowhere and you get a 10 to 15% opportunity to the downside to get more of them, then 5 years from now, we're not going to be saying, oh, wow, Amazon's slowing down. It's like, we're probably going to be saying Amazon's expanding into different things now. Tesla's FSD is becoming more real in many different countries and states. And that just means the world will progress over the next 5 years, most likely. Tomorrow, 2050 will be just as far away as 2000. Holy crap. That is kind of wild, right? Tomorrow, 2050 will be just as far away as 2000. Dude, that's wild. That means I graduated high school in 2016. So in one more year, I will have my 10-year reunion for high school. And I graduated college in 2020. So it'll be 5 years tomorrow of graduating college. That's wild, bro. Time stops for no one. Palantir right there, trying to get back to 77, 76.60 right now, down about 1%. Robinhood at 38.54. S&P holding up a little bit at 588. I went to Science Park High School in Newark, New Jersey. Science Park High School. It was a public school. It was a magnet school, but it was a public school. It was one of the better schools in Newark. Newark is one of the areas in New Jersey that's not the best in terms of like crime and things of that nature. It's kind of a tougher part of Jersey, but Science Park was a really good school there, and that's where I went. Are you going to the reunion, Amit? You know what? I don't really talk to anybody from high school. I don't talk to it's funny. One of my friends from college yesterday, she texted me because she lived in California. She's moving back to Jersey and she wanted to just meet up. And we text, but we take like month-long breaks from texting each other. And then finally yesterday, we actually had a conversation where we don't take a month to respond to each other. It was like within seconds. And so, I have a couple friends from college that I talk to, but really from high school, I don't talk to anybody. I really don't. And I think, it's funny because in high school, you think like, oh my God, you need to be friends with everybody. You need to be popular. You need to like be in circles and these groups. And then by senior year, I kind of realized, wait a second, all these people are fucking losers. Like legitimately. And I say that with a level of humility, but also a level of arrogance, because like quite literally, a lot of these kids in high school were doing nothing with their life. Like every day it was skip school, smoke weed, and just like repeat. And I'm like, sure, that's fun. And that's, you know, that's something you definitely, you loosen up in high school and you enjoy those experiences. But at the end of the day, like you got to kind of plan what you want to do with your life. And by senior year, my plan was to be the best debater in the country. And I missed every single social event senior year because I was at a debate tournament and I was building my reputation and I was trying to become the best at my craft. And everyone else was like doing nothing, like literally nothing. And it was just like, all right. So, and now you see these people 10 years later, what are they doing? Nothing. They're not doing anything interesting. They're not doing anything exciting. They're not building anything. It's just like, it's like high school was the peak. And it's like high school cannot be the peak, bro. Like smoking weed and skipping school cannot be the peak of life. And you get a lot of people that get depressed after that, dude, because if high school was the peak of your life, because you're not building towards anything, it doesn't even mean you have to be successful in something you're building at, but you need to be building something. Well, that's a career, a family, whatever it may be, right? You have to have something that keeps you going every day, that makes you feel like you have a purpose and a North Star that you're going after. Like you just have to. Otherwise, you get into like, what's the purpose of anything? And then you start, reminiscing around the old days. And the old days can't be the best days. The best days have to be the days going forward. That was deep. That was kind of deep. The old days can't be the best days. The best days have to be the days going forward. Someone quote that, put it on a t-shirt, and make that a thing. That's a thing. But the point is, again, just a lot of people, they didn't realize, like, and the reason I'm saying this is because I was called a nerd in high school by a lot of these people because I was going to debate tournaments. I had a lot of people that were supportive. A lot of friends, teachers were supportive. But then there was that group of kids in high school that were just like, this guy's fucking going around the country talking. That's what he's doing. He's missing these parties to go talk. And in reality, if I didn't join the debate team, I wouldn't be here today. Like that, the foundation the debate team gave me to set up the rest of my life from a communication perspective, it changed everything for me. And I think about, all right, so I missed the winter ball to go win first place at the Ridge National Championships in New Jersey. I feel much more happy with myself that I was first place at the Ridge National Championships, especially because I lost in octos the year before. So I wanted my revenge. Then hanging out at the winter ball and like just standing around, maybe doing some dancing. Like that's not what life should be about. You got to fucking grind. And I kind of feel the same way right now, right? Like there's a lot of sacrifices to build a content creation career, a media career, YouTube career, etc. Same sacrifices as building a debate career back in high school. But you've got to be willing to delay the gratification, take the sacrifices for the purpose of moving forward in life. And I think I was really blessed in high school that I was able to recognize that early. Because then in college, I oriented myself in college as well to be like, all right, how do I build my own path? I'm going to have to take some sacrifices, but how do I move forward? And by the way, in college, I partied a lot. Like I enjoyed partying in college, which is another reason I don't regret too much about high school. But still, you have to have some sacrifices to feel the long-term ramifications of whatever type of path you want to build going into the future. The revenge of the nerd is a real dude, 100%. The revenge of the nerd is a real deal. James says, nothing wrong going to the ball if you have your shit together. It doesn't have to be the extreme you are describing. Well, I agree with that, but what if the ball is on the same weekend as the debate tournament? That's the question, right? What if there's actually a conflict? What if legitimately the winter ball is the same weekend as the debate tournament and you have to pick one or the other? That's the question, right? It's not that you shouldn't balance the extremities of your success in whatever path you're on with the fun of life and family, friends, going out, etc. I totally agree with that. But when you have to choose, that's when the question, that's when you actually have to show up, right? Which one are you picking? And I can't imagine a world where I would feel more regret if I had picked the ball over the debate tournament. Because I wanted to be the best. And I got pretty close. I got to number 7 in the country. Should have been number 5. But, those are things that you look back on in life and just feel like you got to go on a journey that was special. That's the most important thing. Celsius is up 4%. So somehow Celsius is going green today. It's outperforming everything. Nike's up 2%. AMD still down. Robinhood and SoFi are still kind of green. MSTR is up 0.5%. Microsoft's up a little bit. And then the S&P slightly green, up 0.17%. The ball versus the debate tournament sounds like a fantastic holiday move. By the way, I had a girlfriend my senior year in high school as well, right? So I was managing, and that's another reason why I didn't care too much about the social life, because all of my social life, whenever I had an opportunity to do social things, was with her. So my senior year, it was the girlfriend, debate, and school. And school I'd kind of given up on. I'd kind of just like, you know, I was coasting through school, getting through all the classes, but it was debate and her, and that was it. And so, you know, my entire life, but that's the thing. Like, I cared about her when I was, you know, when she was my girlfriend, because she was my girlfriend. And it's like, you got to pick the stuff you care about. So I care about her, so I'm going to spend time with her. I care about debate, so I'm going to spend time on debate. Do I really care about these friends that say they're my friends, but in reality, we're probably not going to talk in 10 years? No. And thankfully, I have the insight to be like, I don't care about these people, so I'm just not going to hang out with them, and I'll move on with my life. But there's a lot of people that get trapped and think they need to care about those people, and then those people never end up caring about them long term. And then it's just like, you kind of just wasted your time there. You really wasted your time. I know you guys don't believe I had a girlfriend, but I like you guys can believe whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. It is what it is. Heavy on the avocado. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Thank you, Amit, for your daily grind. Happy New Year. Let's crush 2025. Thank you, Heavy on the avocado, for being here, and thank you for not being heavy on the mayo. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you for being here every single day. Amit, it's okay to admit that you wish you had a little bit more social life in high school. Honestly, guys, I'm saying I don't. I really don't. I have zero regrets. Like, when I mean zero, you can either believe me or not believe me. I was so happy that I went down on the journey of trying to become the best debater in the country. And I gave it my all, dude. I left everything on the floor. Every damn blood, sweat, and tears I could leave on the floor to try to become number one in the country. I did. And I ended up as number 7, which was, you know, you shoot for the stars, you land on the moon, you're okay. Zero regrets, like literally zero, about being more social in high school. And for 2 reasons. Number one, 9th grade and 10th grade, I was very social. Okay. 11th grade is when I ended up like trying to become the best debater in the country. And that's when I started like stopped being social. But 9th grade and 10th grade, I got to experience what it felt like to be with the cool kids and do all that stuff. And I realized it wasn't like, there was no value to it. Like, I guess I was just a little bit more mature at 16 years old. I'm like, this is stupid. This isn't fun. And then the other reason I'm not that regretful of it is because in college, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in college, dude. College was and the reason was because I was running my own business in college. I had my consulting firm. So I was making money. I kind of sucked at school. I was getting B+ and C's. And so, you know, my parents weren't the happiest with my grades, but they couldn't be that upset because I was making money. And like, at the end of the day, if, you know, you're a young kid, you're making money. The whole goal of college is to get an education to then get a job to make money. If you're already doing that, it's kind of hard for them to be, you know, on you about getting good grades. So I was able to not have to focus on school too much. I mean, I rushed a fraternity in college. Like, I had a great time in college, right? And somehow I passed my classes, even though I rushed a fraternity, because I never showed up to classes. Because when you rush a fraternity, good luck going to classes. So I enjoyed college a lot. But the point is, there was always a level of intention, whether it was high school or college, of what I want to do with my life, even if I don't fully know the answer, because I definitely didn't know the answer in college. But I was trying. I was in the arena. I was in the ring trying to get shit done. And that just required some more high level works of sacrifice to get there. Austin says, Amit, will you be the MC at my wedding? That's funny. That's I wouldn't mind, Austin. I wouldn't mind being. You know, I've MC'd a couple weddings. I MC'd a bunch of weddings in India. I actually MC'd a wedding for my friend a couple of years ago in America. So I do have some experience with hosting. I'm not the worst at actually hosting events. Abaji, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate that, brother. Hey, great to be here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for being part of the show. And I don't mean to go on a rant on this or anything. First of all, the markets are kind of boring, so there's really nothing to look at in the markets right now. But the reason I'm saying this is because, honestly, I'm applying the same mindset for 2025. In high school, I was intentional about my goals, and I worked towards them. In college, although I was very confused about my goals, the specifics, I was intentional about the path, and I worked towards it. And 2025, same thing. I don't know what's going to happen in 2025, but I have some pretty lofty goals in terms of what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to be very intentional about how to achieve them, trying to make legit plans on executing to achieve them. Because I feel like 2024, it was me executing, but it was a lot of things falling into my lap. Now, granted, they fell into my lap because I guess I worked hard enough to be in the position for them to naturally fall into place. But there was a lot of stuff that just happened. And I was very happy it happened, but it happened. It wasn't really me working for it. Like the Vlad interview, I don't think I worked for that. I guess you can talk, you can say posting about Robinhood on Twitter and like developing a community is working for it, but it happened really quick. Like I started talking about Robinhood in December, and by freaking February, they're like, hey, have a sit down interview with the CEO. And so, and that's one of those things where like, yeah, you're working for it, but it kind of just happens. And if you assume it's going to be that easy to get Zuckerberg one day, or to get Dorsey, or to get, Elon Musk, if we're getting really ambitious, it's not going to be that easy. It's just, so I think it's having a level of humility of realizing that you've got to be super intentional for 2025 goals. You got to try to execute against them. You got to realize it's not going to be as easy as it was in 2024. And you got to be ready to sacrifice. You got to be ready to freaking sacrifice. I mean, Derek right here in the chat, this dude, talk about sacrifice. Derek is 54 years old. He has had multiple startups, multiple exits, multiple massive wins in private investing, and he is starting a new company. And we're not just talking about like a mom and pop lemonade shop or something. We're talking about a tech company that I think is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm invested in the company. And so I literally believe with my money that it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. And he's doing it after all the success he's achieved in life. Like, dude, I mean, if you've had the success that someone like Derek has had, you kind of just go on a beach and chill. And that's not what he's doing. He's working his ass off to build a company. I was talking to him the other day, and he was talking about how nervous he was and how scary it is to get back into this journey. But to me, I was like, yeah, but just like I wouldn't go to the winter ball, I would go to the debate tournament. You would not be on a beach at 54 years old and enjoy the rest of your life. Like that's not who you are. You're an entrepreneur. You're a builder. You fucking grind to just like fucking get shit done. So same thing with me. I can't be at a beach. Dude, when I was in India, as much as I enjoyed India with my family, it killed me that I couldn't go live every day. Like it was really, like I was not happy. I wasn't like, oh, I get to just relax for the next 3 hours. I was like, no, stuff is happening in the markets. I want to talk about it, but I literally can't today. So I think when you have that type of obsessive personality of just wanting to build, it gets very exciting, and it gives you a purpose. And I think that's the most important thing of life, right? A purpose. If you don't have a purpose, everything falls to shit. And the stock market, believe it or not, is a purpose for all of us, right? At the end of the day, all of us get to like have a thesis on where we think the markets are going to go, even if we're not running these companies, and with our own hard-earned capital get to deploy that money and then hope we're going to be right. And it gives us something to look forward to. Markets give people a purpose, especially if you can make money off the markets, because then it gives you financial freedom. So I just think going into 2025, it's so important to be intentional. This is why when I was on the phone with Steve the other day on the show, and he was like, it's stupid to reflect on your goals and then like plan for it. I was like, no, I just disagree. It is very important to reflect on your goals, reflect on what happened in the previous year, and then make a really sophisticated, detailed plan on how to attack the next year. You could call it new year, new me, right? Maybe it's a conventional type of thinking like that. But if you're going to get into the new year, I do think there has to be some new rendition of you as well. And it's just really inspiring to see someone like Derek starting a startup at freaking 54 years old, dude. It's not easy to go build especially after success. Like a lot of people that are chasing it later in their life, it's because they haven't had that level of success they really wanted. When you've had that success and you still go after it, and you're getting the best fucking investors on the planet that are crying to give you money to take their money to build this company, it's very, very exciting. And it gives you something to look forward to going into 2025. Amit is married to the game. Yes, pretty much at this point of life, married to the game. Victor, thank you for being a channel member. He says, I was an exchange student in the US. Main thing is to be yourself. Forget being cool. Happy New Year to my American homies. Much love. Long pound chair. Thank you, Victor, for being here. Thank you for being a member of the channel. And yeah, look, if you're an exchange student, you probably have to deal with people potentially making fun of you, your accent, all that stuff, just feeling like you're different. But if you're just yourself, which is, I think, the most important thing, authenticity. Like, why is Alex Karp winning? Because he's freaking authentic. He's authentic. The Palantir Bears can say whatever the hell they want. They don't understand that this is one of the most authentic CEOs on the planet. Not because I agree with everything he says, but because I know when he says something, he's not bullshitting. He believes in it. And when you have a CEO, and same thing with Elon, like you believe, like he believes in what he's saying. And when they actually stand up for their beliefs at the risk of polarizing a lot of people, Elon at a different level, because he's at a different level than Karp, but you can at least say, all right, whether I agree or disagree with you, I respect that you're willing to say what you want to say. Tim Cook is not saying what he wants to say. Satya Nadella is not, like, these guys, they're phenomenal executors and CEOs, but they're not those types of personalities that would actually say or bang on the table during an earnings call if they're upset. Karp is. And authenticity has been rewarded massively for his company over the past year. And I think it will continue to reward anyone who truly lives in their most authentic way. And it's not easy to figure out what it means to be authentic. I think it's a lifelong introspective journey. But I think that's the word I'm looking for, introspection. Like I think 2025 is a year, or at least today is a day where you be introspective around what do you want out of life? What's going to happen? And you know why? You know why that's true? Why it's important to be introspective and try to figure out what you want out of life and then how you take that forward to 2025? Because all of us are going to die. Sorry to get morbid here, but that's the damn truth. All of us are gone one day. And I think because we're all walking sacks of meat on the planet, that we forget the inevitable end of our lives is coming up. All of us, no matter who you are, and no one beats Father Time. And I think before you go, you just want to say you gave it your best shot and had a fun ride. Shit got dark. No, but it's true, dude. People don't talk about death as much as they need to, I think, in my opinion. In my opinion, people don't talk about death. S&P 500 going red right here. Speaking of death, goodness gracious, S&P is dying right here. But people don't talk about death enough. Everyone dies, and I think it's a taboo conversation, obviously, because it's a touchy subject. But like, it's a trippy subject as well. But I think, you know, when I was in college, I was having a lot of these conversations with my friend. You know, you're 19 years old, you're drunk, you start saying, hey, what do you guys think about death, right? And I had a lot of those conversations in college. And quite frankly, when I had those conversations, sometimes my compadres in college, they didn't want to engage in the conversation because they thought it was too morbid, they thought it was too scary. And I'm like, no, guys, we're defining our lives right here. We're 20 years old. Like we've got hopefully 50, 60 years left. Like, don't you think we should be reverse engineering our lives at this young age by thinking of the end and then moving backwards? And by the way, this is what Bezos talks about as well. It's a great clip from Bezos called the regret minimization framework. The reason he started Amazon, even though he was making a ton of money on Wall Street, I think he was making like $300,000 a year in 1994, is because he wanted to maintain a regret minimization framework of how many regrets he would be able to minimize towards the end of his. And I think that's just important to remember going into 2025. Here's that clip of Bezos talking about this. Every time I watch this is very inspiring to see what he's able to do. But here's him talking about the concept of minimizing regrets.
Went to my boss and said to him, you know, I'm going to go do this crazy thing, and I'm going to start this this company selling books online. And this is something that I already been talking to him about in a sort of more general context. But then he said, let's go on a walk. And we went on a 2-hour walk in Central Park in New York City. And the conclusion of that was this, he said, you know, this actually sounds like a really good idea to me, but it sounds like it would be a better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job. And he convinced me to.
Bro, his laugh is I don't care what. His laugh is the best laugh in the world. Him and Elon's laugh is actually the best laugh in the world.
Think about it for 48 hours before making a final decision. And so I went away and was trying to find the right framework in which to make that kind of big decision. And, you know, I'd already talked to my wife about this, and she was very supportive and said, look, you know, you can count me in 100%, whatever you want to do. You know, it's true. She had married this kind of, you know, fairly stable guy and a stable career path, and now he wanted to go do this crazy thing, but she was 100% supportive. So it really was a decision that I had to make for myself. And the framework I found, which made the decision incredibly easy, was what I called, which only a nerd would call, a regret minimization framework. So I wanted to project myself forward to age 80 and say, okay, now I'm looking back on my life. I want to have minimized the number of regrets I have. And, you know, I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret having wanted, you know, trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried. And I knew that that would haunt me every day. And so when I thought about it that way, it was an incredibly easy decision. And I think that's a very good, it's if you can project yourself out to age 80 and sort of think, what will I think at that time? It gets you away from some of the daily pieces of confusion. You know, I left this Wall Street firm in the middle of the year. When you do that, you walk away from your annual bonus. And that's the kind of thing that in the short term can confuse you. But if you think about the long term, then you can really make good life decisions that you won't regret later.
So yeah, I think that framework is important. And that framework is the way you kind of dictate how you decide to be intentional going into 2025. All right, is the market tanking while we're talking about death? Is that happening? MicroStrategy down, Palantir down, Apple down, Tesla down, Grab is down, Nvidia down, Grindr down, Google's down. IWM is holding up a little bit, small caps, but everything else is down. I really wish we could end out green, bro. It would be so nice to end out the year green. I guess we can't be that upset about it given how much we're up. It would have just been nice, bro. Even if we tanked on January 2nd, it would be nice to just end out green. It would have been nice. It would have been cool. It would have been a record year. I mean, it's still going to be a record year. This is the link for that video for anyone who wants to watch it. Let me see where the S&P is year to date. Right now, the S&P year to date is at 24.3%. Again, record year. If we get to 590-ish, I think we get to 25%. And if we get to like 585, it's going to be 22, 23%. So still have some time left, but Hood over 40, Palantir over 80, Tesla over 420. That would be a nice way to end out the year. Again, as B. Martin says, zoom out. I hate saying zoom out, but it's true. Like, it's been a phenomenal year. I mean, and I'm pretty sure everyone's portfolios, even though they're not crazy green today, they are very, very green for the year. And you got to count your blessings on a relatively green year that we've had in the markets. And now the question is, will we be able to keep that going into 2025? So should we expect more of a sell-off in January? I think it's 50-50. I think the Trump tariffs 10-year CPI debacle could create a sell-off. I also think the market might ignore all of that stuff and price it in and move forward and look at the good growth initiatives by Trump. I really think we're going to need, this is why I'm saying, I think in January, it is important to just kind of like hold on before getting super excited to get in or out of the markets. I think we wait. Trump gets sworn in on January 20th. So we have 20 days until he gets sworn in to see how the markets interpret the new year. And then as soon as he gets sworn in, he's going to be signing executive orders. If you guys remember his first term, I mean, it's pretty much every president's first term, but they sign a ton of executive orders on their first day. And they basically, some of these are symbolic, some of them are real, but they're basically reversing everything that the previous administration did. So here's Trump from 2017. I won't play the audio here, but you can see him right here. He's just signing all these orders. Look at this, signs executive order on Obamacare. That didn't really do anything, that executive order on Obamacare, because John McCain ended up being the deciding vote to not repeal and replace Obamacare. But he's going to go through the same charades. As soon as he gets inaugurated, he's going to sign a bunch of orders. He's probably going to get back out of the Paris Climate Accord that Biden got us back in. He's going to do all this stuff. The question is, are any of those executive orders going to be like good? Like, are any of those executive orders going to be policy executive orders that actually lead to something that will affect markets? And I don't know. Most of the times executive orders are symbolic. They don't actually result in meaningful change. So we're going to have to go through that until probably mid-February when they finally start pushing some policy agendas. And then he's got to get all the Republicans in Congress, House of Representatives, and the Senate to agree with him. And he's got to get at least 2/3 of them to get something passed. So I think there is going to be some unknowns in the first couple months of the year to see how this ends up playing out. Palantir, are we green? We are very close to green. We're 5 cents away from green on Palantir. 77.13 currently right now. I will have a video coming out later today that's going to be talking about the greatest moments for Palantir in 2024. So I'll have that video coming out in a few hours. And yeah, I'll be covering the best moments of 2024 for Palantir. By the way, Bill Ackman just said they're going to be doing a Spaces on January 16th. Bill Ackman says Spaces January 16th. They'll be talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So we can listen to that and see what argument he's going with as well on this one. I think the Tesla car deliveries comes out at 9 a.m. on Thursday. I think it's 9 a.m. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 9 a.m., not 8:30. So it should be before the market opens. And we'll get those numbers then. All right, what else do we got? Let's see what the suits are talking about. Let's get some updates from them if there's anything here. Nothing too crazy. 10-year's kind of down a little bit. We talked about Apple already. Yeah, there's really nothing crazy. There's like nothing happening right now in the broader markets. Everyone's kind of on vacation today, and we're just waiting until 2025. Oh, we did have that thing where the Treasury was hacked. Let's get an update on that. That was weird yesterday, but the Treasury was hacked by China. I don't know if the implications of that are going to be massive, but that is one thing that we saw happen yesterday as well. Yeah, low volume is definitely a low volume day today.
So far is that Treasury was informed on December 8th by this third-party provider, Beyond Trust, that there had been a hack that was eventually traced to a Chinese state-sponsored hacking group. It appears that they got access to kind of a cloud services software program that allowed them to, that's normally providing technical support to Treasury workers. It allowed them to have access to some workstations at Treasury Department to read some unclassified documents. But in the end, it doesn't seem so far, at least, to be kind of a worst case scenario that you would face with a typical Chinese hacking story. It's still under investigation by the U.S. intelligence agencies and the FBI, among others. But they have shut down these systems and blocked further access.
Okay, so that's where we've got to. I mean, clearly China denies this, as we said in our headline. Where does this leave US-China relations?
Well, it is part of a pattern that we've seen of the U.S. accusing China of a range of state-sponsored hacking of both government institutions and the private sector. The Biden administration has pushed back on this. Where it leaves the Trump administration, we'll have to see. There's a number of very hawkish hawkish on China advisors coming into the Trump administration. That said, the president has always or frequently looked for a way to make a deal when needed with China. It's going to be a tense relationship at the start. And it's just we don't know how far the President-elect Trump will want to take his retribution for this kind of action after he takes office on January 20th.
Dude, that's another thing we didn't talk about. We're worried about tariffs and the 10-year. Trump and China is a whole nother situation that I don't know if we're prepared for as well. Because what if they do have a pretty bad relationship and then, you know, that affects goods, that affects supply chains, that affects a potential trade war. But see, China doesn't have a chip to bargain on, dude. Like their economy is in the gutter. And they've barely even begun stimulus. So they can't act Palantir above 77 that like, oh, you know, we can negotiate with the United States and we can get an edge on them. It's like, dude, if we don't do business with you guys, like it's going to be hard for you guys to find business. And you guys really need business right now. So I wonder how much cojones Xi Jinping has to try to actually get something out of Trump. But like, it's not like they're in a position to bargain, bro. And it's not like their AI models are so much better than ours. And he can be like, oh, well, we have good AI. And if you mess with us, we're going to launch a tech. It's like, dude, no, you're not, dude. You don't have that. All your tech companies are copying ours. So, and your economy's in the gutter. And if your economy's in the gutter, people are not going to be happy inside of China if they can't eat food, if they don't have enough money to live. So it's a lot of things Xi Jinping has to think about as well. I don't think he's going to be at the inauguration. I like that Trump invited him. I like that they're at least starting the relationship to be friendly, but I do not think he's going to actually come. I do think the Salvador president's going to be there. I think the Milei Argentinian president is going to be there. I would hope, world leaders across the globe decide to come, because that would definitely be a good sign for international relations. But I don't think Xi Jinping is going to be there. China invading Taiwan would be a huge black swan. Yeah, dude, if that happens, we don't talk about that enough, but if that happens, like, it's over. Everything's over. We're done. Like, it's just like everything runs through TSMC. And that's why, again, people called me crazy for saying this a couple months ago, but I'm going to reiterate it. I have a friend who works in Anduril, and I was talking to him a couple months ago, and I was like, hey, how serious is this China threat? Because Palmer Luckey, the CEO of Anduril, he constantly talks about this. He's really big on China is something we need to care about. And my friend at Anduril, he was like, no. Like, Palmer is not joking around. Like, this is a real thing. And I was like, okay, so this is a real thing that they could invade Taiwan, and TSMC is where we get all the chips. Why is the United States not spending literally trillions of dollars to make sure that we are independent from any risk of China invading Taiwan, and then us losing literally everything, because every electronic has those TSMC chips. AI requires on those chips. Like, the world relies on TSMC more than we think it does. And he said, I agree. The United States should be spending trillions of dollars to prop up a company as an issue of national security in case China invades Taiwan. Now, the company we were talking about was Intel, and I know a lot of people are going to hate that company, but Intel is, in my opinion, one of the contenders that if the United States did want to give $1 trillion to someone, I mean, Intel has the fabs already. Like, it would be very hard to do this. It wouldn't be easy. But nonetheless, there is an argument that we should be doing that. And we're not doing that. We're not really setting ourselves up. I know we have some factories in the United States and Arizona and all that stuff, but we're not really prepared for if China invaded Taiwan tomorrow. The only way we would be able to combat that is if we go to war with China. And that means we would send our ships to Taiwan, and we would duke it out with China. And I don't think anyone wins there, because more likely than not, TSMC would be destroyed if we're fighting on Taiwanese land against China. So yeah, that is another black swan. It's more than a black swan. It's done, bro. Like, we don't have a solution for that. Like, we don't have another place that can create the level of chips. Wow, Tesla's really tanking right here. 412. Holy crap. Tesla's going below where it was early in the morning from 415. But we don't have the ability to manufacture chips at that scale and then put it into all the iPhones and Teslas and all the other products that use those chips. So now, granted, why would China not do that? Because it's suicide. If China does that, they know that we're going to war, and then I've got a red button, you've got a red button. If we both want to press that button and explode up the world, then it's the end of the world. So I think China understands that that's a last resort thing to do. And if they do that, it's the whole world's done, or at least a significant majority of the world could have a real threat of nuclear war. And that's why I don't think that happens. But then again, you never know. You never freaking know, especially when they do things like hacking our treasury. Like, that's not definitely good for relations between each other. Also, you guys remember the balloon that they were flying? What state were they flying the balloon over? Was it New Jersey, the China balloon? We shot it down, but it was definitely China balloon, USA. What state was that over? Alaska. It was over Alaska, Western Canada, and Virginia. So it was. See, like, this is stuff we cannot have happening in the United States. Yeah, dude. If China invades, there's no market open, bro. I think I'm getting drafted. Like, if China invades, I think American men are gonna have to step up. Like, literally, we're gonna constitutionally we have to, and that's it. It's over. So, granted, I don't think that's gonna happen, right? I think that's very extreme, but that's why it's called a black swan, right? It's not one of those things like COVID. No one expected that, but it happened. And then when we're living in it, it's kind of wild, because when you were living in the midst of the pandemic, you're like, holy crap, I'm alive, and there's a global freaking pandemic going on right now. And it was kind of crazy to just like be alive at that moment. MicroStrategy below 300 right here, 297, and be like, this is actually happening. I hope that doesn't happen for China, Taiwan. I really don't think it will, but if it does, it would be crazy. MSTX, by the way, what a freaking disaster. This thing is not only down 20% from yesterday, because MSTR was down 10%. It was down another 20% last night over their special dividend thing. And now it's down another 4%. I mean, absolute disaster on this fund. It wouldn't be that bad if they didn't take out the $14 for the special dividend, because then it would be down 4% today, and that would be normal. But the special dividend thing took out a chunk of cash, and that's just not the best for people that were using this thing as a trading vehicle. So this one and MSTR are both getting hit right here. Eric said if Xi was going into Taiwan, he would have done it when we were absent a president, not with the orange man coming in. I also agree with that. If Xi was going to invade Taiwan, he probably would have done it with Biden, just because, Biden's been a little bit more absent than other presidents during his tenure. However, the question becomes, Does the economic, so Xi Jinping wants to make sure communism stays afloat, right? Their biggest fear is that freedoms, liberty, freedom of speech, all this like American Western values actually incepts itself into the Chinese public, and then the Chinese people have a revolt, right? They don't want that to happen. They want sophisticated control via a communist dictatorship. Well, what happens if Chinese people actually start revolting because the economy sucks and everyone's like, we don't have any food and we don't have any freedom, and so we're going to fight? Well, what do you do at that moment? You have to have a nationalist cause that brings the country together. And what's more nationalist than going to war? And that could be what triggers the invasion of Taiwan. Now, again, I don't think that's going to happen. But this is, if you watch, everyone should watch the 60 Minutes interview with the Taiwan president. They did this, I think, 2 years ago. And he said, it's not a matter of if China invades us. It's a matter of when. And when I saw that for the first time, it was from 2 years ago, but I saw it 6 months ago. I was like, holy crap, these guys are convinced that China's ready to invade. And if China gets the perfect excuse, aka their people are revolting against them and they need to get like after 9/11, the country was more united than ever because we had a common enemy, right? And we went to war. As sad as it was, that is what united the country. That theoretically could happen in China. And if that does happen, then that would be, the worst thing that could happen to markets and for humanity if they end up invading Taiwan. Not a lot of food on that tiny island to feed 1 billion people. Yeah, dude, it's like, the thing is, if people start, and we're seeing this in America, right? We're seeing this in America already, where people feel that wealth inequality is so intense that they're just like, screw it, I'm just going to steal from the store. First of all, I don't agree with looting, right? And what's going on in California. But the Marxist argument or the Marxist critique that would be upset at people getting upset at the people that are stealing from Target in California is that Target is a greedy corporation that makes billions and billions of dollars, and wealth inequality is so bad. And Jeff Bezos has $200 billion, but there's a guy on the street who has 2 pennies to his name. And when you have that level of wealth inequality, people stop caring about the system and they rebel. And that results in extreme levels of violence. And by the way, this is not an original thought. We have seen this many, many times historically throughout history. Where we've had revolutions because people are just fed up with the fact that the system is unequal. The way I think about it is capitalism is a game, and that game needs to make people feel like they have a level playing field. Now, look, Michael Jordan is 6'5". I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day, 5'9" if I wear the boots. And so there will always be some level of inequality between me and Michael Jordan when it comes to being a basketball success because he is more gifted naturally with his talents. But I shouldn't feel like I want to kill every basketball player because they have some level of intrinsic talent that I was not born with. The lottery of birth is a real thing. And if you're born in an impoverished, poor neighborhood, your mom's on drugs, your dad's not here in your life, yada, yada, yada. And then you compare a kid who's born in Beverly Hills, California, who's going to a private school, spending $50,000 a year for kindergarten education. Those are two vastly diverse types of life. The goal of capitalism, in my opinion, is to make those two people still feel like they have an equal chance at success. Now, do they actually have an equal chance of success? No. And you would be stupid to think that the kid from Beverly Hills versus the kid from Detroit, who's in a tough neighborhood, have the same chance of success. However, the illusion of capitalism, which is not really an illusion if you actually work towards the ideals of what I think the goal of the system is to provide, is that if you work hard enough, even though that kid has more opportunities, you with a messed up childhood can still succeed. And quite frankly, the level of hunger and ambition because of the adversity you're going through could give you a better shot theoretically than the kid who has everything given to him. So I think it's one of those things where if the game becomes so unfair, Robinhood right here is kind of green, Palantir is slightly red. If the game becomes so unfair, that's where you get revolts. That's where you get, honestly, a lot of killings of CEOs, right? That's where you get people stealing from stores. And none of that is justified, in my opinion, because I don't condone violence. I don't think any of that is the right attitude. And if you take it to its logical extreme, then you would just kill every CEO who has money or every person who has more money than you. So that's not the logical conclusion that you can deduce from the things that we've been seeing over the past couple of weeks. However, it's not to say that there isn't massive wealth inequality, and that could result in people doing crazy shit. And so the reason I bring this up, going back to China, is if the people in China feel that they have no freedom, no speech, By the way, China has something called social capital. They have a score on how well you're performing. So if you're talking with your friends in a bar and you're saying, man, Xi Jinping sucks, and they've got cameras around that bar, which they do, and they're tracking what you're saying, they can give you a social score that is negative. And next time you get pulled over, you never know what happens, right? And so at the point where it gets that bad from a food and from a health perspective and from a freedom perspective, you could have a revolt inside of China. Granted, I don't think that would happen, but because I don't think it's that bad yet. But if that does happen, that's where Xi Jinping says, all right, fuck it. Everyone's revolting. We're invading Taiwan. Because now everyone thinks they have some freedoms. Fuck that. They need to know that this is one country. This is not an individual person's pursuit of this country. This is the country's pursuit of their individual people. And that means that they might end up doing some crazy shit, which hopefully we don't see happening. Johnny says, yes, but you're discounting the struggle that rich kids' ancestors may have went through to be at that point. Perhaps their parents busted their ass to get there. No, I agree. Like, dude, rich kids, absolutely. Or rich kids have had things that have happened in their life to become rich. Like I wouldn't classify myself as rich, but my parents, came from India, worked their ass off in the early 2000s for me to have the life that I'm having right now. So I get it. But the point is that doesn't take away from the idea of a lot of rich kids thinking that life is too easy for them. My point is, if everything's handed to you, it's harder to be inspired to work for things, right? And so, and we've seen this all the time in Hollywood, dude. So many of these Hollywood kids, they end up going down the path of drugs and alcohol, and they never end up really making anything of themselves because everything was given to them. And when everything's given to you, it's like, it's hard. Versus if you come from an adverse situation where I agree, like it's better to be in Beverly Hills versus in a crappy neighborhood. Like anyone would choose that. But you do have some more intrinsic motivation to get the hell out and to like make something of your life. And that's where the disparity comes in regards to wealth inequality, but also motivations around that wealth inequality. Work ethic, exactly. It's going to be primarily rooted in how you get that work ethic. You'll be rich on January 2nd. No, I'm not going to be rich on January 2nd, no matter how many options I sell, because I will be paying a crap ton of taxes to Uncle Sam. So I was at this dinner party last night before Robinhood Weekly, and it was like my mom's friend's sister's party, and they had some neighbors at the party. And at the party, the neighbors had this 9-month-old, and she was the cutest girl in the world. And I saw this 9-month-old, and I was like, damn, the first thought I had was like, oh my God, she does not have to worry about paying capital gains tax as part of her ordinary income. That's the number one thought I had when I saw that little 9-month-old. I was like, all she has to do is shit, eat, and sleep. And then someone cleans up her shit and someone gives her more food and she gets to just walk around, be a cute baby. And that's it. That's her life. I have to worry about finding tens of thousands of dollars to give to Uncle Sam by April 15th next year because I took a risk with my own capital and made some money this year. And for some reason, the bozos in Congress decided that we should tax that as ordinary income. Ordinary income. Why is short-term capital gains ordinary income? It's not ordinary. It's income, but it's extraordinary because I took a lot of risk to get it. And if I lost all of it, then it wouldn't be an ordinary loss. You can only take off $3,000 from the loss and carry it on to the next year. So it's not I just don't understand how they came up with that idea. I'm not saying I shouldn't get taxed on my short-term gains. You can tax me. Tax me 5%. Tax me 10%. Fuck it. Tax me 15%. But don't tax me 35%. Don't make it part of my ordinary income. Like, why are you doing that? Why did they think that was a good idea? I just don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm telling you, the first thing I thought of when I saw that little girl was she doesn't have to pay taxes next year. And I have to figure out how to get the money to pay it. So yeah, I don't think I'll be rich on January 2nd. I'll be working my ass off to just try to keep my net worth where it is, to not have to take money out and sell stocks to pay taxes. Dude, it's crazy. It is absolutely insane. But this is the world we live in. But she is also broke. That's correct. She's also broke. Like, look, I think, being a little kid and being in high school and like having no worries, that's all fun as an idea. But once you actually like get some independence in life, once you're actually able to buy your own Tesla, once you're able to go drive it wherever you want, like, I don't think anyone wants to go back to having homework every day or like having to play within the rules of a school or something. MicroStrategy 294, that one's going down 3%. I think once you get freedom, you want to like maintain your freedom as an adult, but nonetheless, with that freedom comes the burden of paying some damn taxes. Amit, you're moaning about a first world problem. I absolutely am moaning about a first world problem, 1000%. But still, bro, this is the most amount of taxes I'm paying in my life. Like, it's kind of crazy. Gus says, bro, the fact that's what you thought when you saw her is hilarious. And I'm not just saying this to be funny. Like, I saw this little cute 9-month-old burping and like goo goo gaga. She's touching the Christmas ornaments on the tree. And I'm like, damn, she has to pay no taxes next year. That's my first thought, bro. I was like, because after I calculated my taxes on Sunday night, I was just like, it's been in my head for the past couple of days. I was like, this sucks, bro. I'm not against paying taxes. I'm okay with I went to public school. Taxes, like, you got to pay taxes. It's just, why is it ordinary income? It's not ordinary. It's extraordinary. I took a shit ton of risks to get it. Like, I don't get how they define that as ordinary income. It's wild. I don't know. And then, I mean, they were thinking about taxing unreal. So I would not be at the net worth where my unrealized gains would be taxed. Kamala Harris was and Biden were thinking about $100 million or more. But if I was worth $100 million and 25 million of that 100 million was in unrealized gains, I could not imagine, if I'm complaining about ordinary income as short-term gains, imagine you didn't even take the profits. And the government's like, yeah, you got to give some of that up. And you have to sell it to be able to pay the taxes on the profits that you never took. Like, I don't know, dude. I think people would go crazy. People would go crazy if they actually be able to do it. Kip says, in fact, the baby is probably getting some of your tax money. Each kid is a $2,000 tax break. Yeah, that's fair. That's also fair. That's also fair. That's what having kids do. Now, having kids, we were talking about this on Robinhood Weekly last night, but one of the reasons why we're having a population crisis, and I've heard this from a couple people now that have recently had kids, is that having kids is expensive. Like, if you want to have a kid in the United States of America, oh boy, you're going to be expending. Let's ask ChatGPT, how much does it cost to have a kid? They're going to be spending a lot of money. So it does make sense to have some deductions on taxes because of those kids, but $2,000 in the grand scheme of things to raise the kid for 18 years in America is pretty expensive. And so that could be another reason why not many people are actually reproducing as much. I'm sure there's other variables, but it's also like, dude, you got to take care of the kid, and you don't want to have a kid if you can't take care of it. So it's a lot of money. How much does it cost to raise a child in the United States for 18 years? Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm not reading all this. Give me a final number. I'm like, I don't care, ChatGPT. Give me a real number. Let's see what it comes up with here. 350,000. 300 housing, 100,000, food, 60,000, childcare, 56,000, transportation, 52, healthcare, 31, clothing, 21, miscellaneous, 24. This is for 18 years. 350 grand. So that's what divided by 18. How much is that? I feel like that might be low, to be honest. 350 divided by 18. That's 20,000 a year. I think that's reasonable. 20,000 a year. Costs 20 grand a year to raise a kid in the USA. So if my generation, that is the generation that's supposed to be having kids now, if we don't think that we can afford 20,000 a year on a kid, yeah, you're going to get people that are just not going to have kids, bro. And I don't think that's a culture we want to get into, but that could happen. You think that's low? Who thinks that's low? Is 20,000 for those that have kids? Is 20,000 reasonable, or is that too much? Tess says it's not 20K per year. Milk and nappies cost that alone. What? It's like 40,000 a year or something. Way too low. Wow, everyone's saying that's low. Wow, everyone's saying that's low. All right, so then let's up it up to like $500,000. Bump it up to freaking 35,000 a year. I mean, like, it's going to be a lot of money. That's the problem. And, I'm actually not opposed to the government coming up with some type of tax law that can incentivize people to have kids, because the last thing we want to happen is for us to turn into Japan, where they're not having kids at all and Japan's innovation is dead. I mean, the only reason Elon Musk is because two people had Elon Musk, right? Like, sometimes it's just, you got to play the numbers, and we got to have millions and millions of more kids to find the next Elon Musk one day. But imagine the level of economic prosperity that would not exist without Elon Musk. But he was born, right? And so, like, I mean, you got to at some point still be reproducing for life to continue. And maybe the government has to incentivize it, dude, because if the cost of living goes up as much as it is, and average people's income, not talking about people in the stock market, because you guys are actually compounding your money, but for people that have no understanding of financial literacy, no understanding of compounding returns. They're living off a paycheck. And I don't think, if you're lucky in America, you're making 150 grand a year, and that's like a really good salary. Most of the average is around 75K. If you got to pay 30K for a kid, like you have no money left, especially after taxes, right? Because if you're doing 150K, you're in the 30% tax bracket. So almost half of that is gone already. It's a lot of money. Childcare in America is $1,600 a month for one child under 3. That's 20K right there. Damn. That is wild, bro. Look, I want to have kids one day. I want to have 3 kids. And I don't want money to be the thing that holds me back from having kids. I would love to have kids. But it is something to think about. If you can't actually take care of the kid, you probably shouldn't have the kid. And so I definitely think being in the right situation financially helps. But government's also got to incentivize that. Or costs have to come down, one or the other. S&P, by the way, is down 0.25%. So we are officially red. Robinhood's red. SoFi's red. Celsius somehow is green. MicroStrategy well below 300. Microsoft's red. Pre-markets was basically a joke. It was fake. None of it was real. Tesla, 414. Goodness gracious. Tesla will be lucky to close over 410 at this point. We are red on the day. JJ says you need a wife to have kids. Yes, I know, JJ. Thank you. Thank you for confirming my doubts on if I needed a wife or not to have kids. The Experimented, thank you for the $5 super chat. The Institute of Family Studies says in 2023 it's 233K. Yeah, I would imagine 200 and upwards. It has to be at those levels, especially as a cost of living and inflation continues to increase as well. Shout out to Invest With Me. This is Joshua. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You never know, Amit may just slide into your DMs for you to join the show. Much love. Thank you, brother. Thank you for being on the show yesterday. It was really awesome. People enjoyed it. And I'm going to put his Twitter right here in the chat for those that don't know him. But he is a super, super smart guy who is calculating some of these Robinhood numbers. And he was pretty accurate based on the December numbers that we got. But you guys can follow him here if you want more updates on Robinhood. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for being here. Cool. Okay, so what else do we have going on in pre-markets, or not pre-markets? We're in the actual markets. Amit wife coming from Cali for meetup. Dude, that'd be crazy. I wonder how I'm ever gonna meet my wife, dude. I'm curious. I wonder how it's gonna happen. I know a lot of you in the comments are gonna say, "What are you talking about? You're gonna meet your husband, yada yada." You can make the jokes, whatever. But I wonder how it is gonna happen, dude. Is it gonna be a dating app? Is it going to be my natural charm when I walk into some random event and it's love at first sight? Is it going to be, I don't know, is it going to be at like some conference for the stock market or something? Like I really wonder how it would happen. It's kind of crazy, dude. The idea of meeting a life partner and like staying with them, everyone has all these crazy stories, but like my generation, I think is feeling it the hardest because like going out and meeting someone in person is just not really how it's done anymore. It still happens, but from the people I talk to, it's the apps. Like you got to get on the apps. The apps are really easy because the other person also has the same intention, and that's what gets it done. But I don't know, bro. I wonder if the app is really going to be where this thing happens. I don't think it's going to be on Grindr. I don't. You guys can keep making as many Grindr jokes as you want. As long as the stock keeps going up, I don't care. If Grindr tanks and you guys make the jokes, then I'm actually going to be sad. As long as I'm up thousands of dollars on Grindr, I don't care about the jokes. But if Grindr goes back to like $12 and you guys keep making the jokes, then it's going to be like, damn, I'm bag holding and I'm having to deal with these jokes every day. So Grindr just needs to keep staying up. What if she holds more Palantir than you? Well, dude, like the craziest thing is I feel like one day, you never know, you're on a date with someone and, she'll say, well, I work at Palantir. And then it's going to be a question if it's like, all right, well, do you know me or not? And she's probably not going to know me because like, she's probably not watching Palantir videos on YouTube all day. But it would be so wild if she works at Palantir and like, she doesn't know me. And then it's like, and like, I don't even know how I would handle that situation. I would just be like, oh, so tell me about the company. Like, why do you like the company? I feel like I would play it super cool. And then if there's a second date, I'd be like, well, I kind of know a little bit about Palantir. It would just be wild, bro. Because either she would be totally freaked out that like Palantir is a big part of my life, even though she works there, Or she would be like, holy crap, it's the coolest thing. If she's super passionate about Palantir, and then like there's this guy who's creating content about Palantir every day, like it would be kind of magical if that happened. But I think it could also go sour. So I don't know. I don't know how it would happen. Hinge is the way. It allows you to be crazy authentic. That's what I've heard from people as well. Hinge is like, oh, I saw this chart the other day. Let me show you guys this chart. But yeah, I do think Hinge is like one of the better apps that people have started to get value from. Tinder is more a hookup app. You can find like long-term stuff on Tinder, but it's a bit more hookup. Take a look at this product right here. For everyone saying that Tinder and Bumble commoditize Grindr, I just think you're wrong on the thesis. I mean, look at this thing, dude. Grindr's up 104% year to date. I didn't even know it was up 100%. It's up 100%. Tinder's down 9%. Bumble's down 45%. Grindr is growing, bro. It is not just a grower versus a shower. It is showing the growth. That was good. That was a good one. You got to give me some credit on that one. But it's showing growth. And it's showing growth because gay men are going to Grindr. They're not going to Tinder or Bumble or Hinge to do what they need to do via the product. So I'm betting on growth, baby. I'm not just betting on a good story. They're growing 30%. I'm betting on real growth. But nonetheless, it proves the point that people are connecting on these products more and more. And if they will continue to connect on these products, that may be where most people find their companions. Austin, I know you're getting engaged soon. Did you find her on Hinge as well? Or did you find her in real life? Let us know if you found her on a dating app or not. Nate says you are so unserious, bro. I can't. No, it's true though. It's true. Like I'm spitting facts, bro. Spitting facts about it. So does that graph just shows that girls are the problem? Yeah, exactly. That's what the graph shows us. That girls are the problem. Yeah, put in the chat, not just Austin. For those that are married, how did you find your significant other? Was it the app or was it in person? Just put like a sentence. I want to read some of these. Nate found Nate's a good friend of mine. Nate found his girl on a trip, he went to Iceland, right? You went to go visit Iceland and he found her. She was like on the you know when people go together in a group or something and like everyone pays for their own ticket and then there's like a tour guide. She was one of the girls in the group. So that was very normal. But I think a lot of other people yo, Derek, I hate Derek so much, bro. Found mine on Grindr, bro. I hate him so much, bro. I hate Derek so much. I hate him so much. By the way, Derek, that freaking put. Did you get out of it, Derek? You got out of it already? Goodness, dude. That put must be up like 40%. 414 bottom and bottom. Okay, I think you texted you're out of it. Okay, so you got it at 414. Where's Tesla right now? Tesla is 415. Dude. He might have literally called the top at 427 when he bought the puts and called the bottom at 414 when he got out of it. Right now we're at 415. If we go down to 410, then we break that 414 level that he got out at. If not, that was a pretty nice day trade towards the end of the year. Brandon says Christian dating app. Ebound says college class. The cool person says robotics club in high school. What else do we have? Jed says work. Okay, work. That's another place I forgot. Work is definitely a place that a lot of people meet. Lewis says met my wife on Hinge. Doug says my wife was a ballet dancer with my little sister. We met at a birthday party. See, that's a cute story. I want that story. I want fucking ballet dancer, like girl next door. That's what I want. I don't want fucking algorithmic matching on Hinge. Fucking stupid Gen Z fucking love. I want the old shit, but I don't know if I'm gonna get it. Mind long term says married my middle school crush. See, that's beautiful. That's like that. Those are the stories that you cry about. But it's hard to see it. It's hard to see it happening in this generation as easily. I'm beneficial says my girl stole me from my ex-girl. Okay, that's a little bit of drama right there. But that also tends to happen as well. Derek says that was a different trade. Wait, hold on. You had a different trade? Did I not see the screenshot correctly? Oh, you did. You did have a different trade. Holy crap. Oh shit, you did? No, you had multiple of these. Well, regardless, you got Tesla done right today. Damn, dude, 428 to fucking 415. What a move on to everyone thought at 428 and 932 this thing was ready to move along with the rest of the market. And then this thing just tanked. Yeah, I see it. The 420 put. I see it right there. Yep. Well, we're at 415. We got a couple hours left. Maybe Tesla recovers, but right now it's not looking like that's going to happen. Up 100K. This is what happens when you have money, bro. When you have money, you can make money. When you have money, you can fucking make money. Up 100K in fucking 2 hours. Only the stock market, dude. Only that. But you need money to be able to make money. And even if you have 1,000 and you can be up $400, that's still amazing in the midst of a day. But when you're playing with lots of money, you can be up even more money. Only the stock market. Stock market is where this stuff can actually happen. Okay, Mr. Notebook, dude, you wouldn't be upset if you had a notebook life like type of relationship, like those shits in the movies, bro. That's like that shit where you cry because you're so in love, you're crying. Like that's the type of love I'm talking about, bro. I'm talking about walking down New York City. She's walking down. You make eye contact. You look for a second, then she walks past you. Then you turn around. Then you walk up to her. You tap her on the shoulder, and you're like, "Hey." Yada, 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 yada. And then you just fall in love, bro. That's the type of fucking love I'm talking about. Disney kind of love. Exactly. Good movie type of love. Got all this stupid algorithmic, oh, like this person likes this. This person likes this. You guys both have Spotify playlists together. Therefore, you're going to get a match. It's like, there's something so cringe about it, bro. There's something so cringe, even though I know that's probably the route that most people are going to have to go down, including myself. I mean, you have Bollywood dreams? Yeah, dude. I guess you could call it a little bit of Bollywood dreams. You're talking about serendipity. Yeah, I guess it's serendipity. It's spontaneity and serendipity in and of itself. He's waiting for a High School Musical kind of romance. Have you ever been in love? Okay, so again, yes, the answer is yes, and it was that girlfriend in college. I dated her until my my junior year girlfriend in high school. I dated her until my junior year of college. So we started talking junior year of high school. And then senior year of college, by the way, she had already, I was a junior in high school. She was a senior. She graduated. I became a senior. I kept in touch with her. She was on the debate team. That's how like we really got to know each other. And then she went on to Stanford, right? She got in, she was super smart. She got into Stanford. And so we kept talking the whole time. But by January of 2016, which was basically the end of my senior year, January till June, we decided to start dating. And I was like, hey, I don't like, you're in Stanford, like you're in college, right? Like, I don't think you want to be held down by a relationship with a guy who's in high school, who's probably not going to get into Stanford, which I didn't get into Stanford. But that's what ended up happening. And we ended up dating for the next 3 years. So that's what I mean by like being in love. Like the fact that she was willing to give up her single years in college for me in high school, which I gave up my single years in college as well, at least the first 2 years. And we actually dated long distance. Like, yeah, dude, we were really in love. But then 3 years later, I started to realize we had some major differences. And those differences primarily, believe it or not, were rooted in capitalism. It was rooted in capitalism. She was more on the side of rich people are evil and bad. I was on that side when I was in high school. And then I like woke up and was like, no, I actually want to be rich. I don't give a fuck if Jeff Bezos has money. I want to make my own money. And it was a lot of debates we would get into. Granted, she was a debater, right? So there's debates that, you know, like you get into, right? And we were both alphas, right? It was hard for us to lose an argument. That's just the nature of how we were, right? And so I'm just like, are you fucking stupid? Like, why are we against rich people? And she'd be like, well, you don't care about poor people. I was like, no, I just don't want to be poor. Like and so it's so much back and forth. And then eventually I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm more committed to getting rich than I am to maintaining this relationship. And then we broke up. This was back in sophomore year. So I was going to my junior year. So this was August 2018. And we started basically dating January 2016. Realistically, we were, talking a lot in 2015, but basically those 2.5 years. And now, first of all, I was very happy to eventually break up with her because like once I had my 2 single years in college, junior and senior year, it was awesome because you got to be single in college and you didn't have to worry about having a girlfriend, right? So that was fun in and of itself. But number 2, I was free to dream on my own without having to consult someone about my dreams. That's another reason I've been single for the past couple of years. And I said this the other day. If you have a relationship and you're trying to build something massive, you will constantly be worrying about the other person's opinions and emotions in the process of trying to build what you're trying to build. It's just really hard. Some people can pull it off, having a significant other and like being on this journey to success to the mountaintop. But it's also really difficult. And it's just I don't want to have to consult with someone about what I'm doing. I just want to be able to do stuff. But then you get to a point in life where you want to share your success with someone. But that was the reason I broke up there a couple years ago, and that's why the relationship ultimately ended. But the honeymoon phase, which is I think the first like 6 to 8 months of the relationship, oh my God, it was amazing. It was incredible. It was freaking. It was like, dude, we talk about honeymoon, young in love, like the girl that you wanted to be with for a year, but you didn't really get with her, and then finally when she leaves, you're now your girlfriend and boyfriend. Like it's just there's this level of intensity, and we spent a lot of time together because we had a lot of breaks. We took some vacations here and there in California, all that stuff. So I went to Stanford a bunch of times to see her. So there were a lot of good moments. But now I don't really think about her anymore because she's just so different from me. She's just so freaking different from me. And like my life is just different. So someone says, will she be the one marching for Luigi? Dude, to be honest, yeah. She's the one who thinks it's okay to shoot a CEO. And I know this because I've seen her Instagram stories and how she thinks about it. I can't deal with that, bro. I can't deal with that. If you think it's okay to shoot a healthcare CEO because you think the system is messed up, I just respectfully, I disagree. And so she's one of the ones that kind of thinks like that. And like that would have been a recipe for disaster given where my mindset is and where my life is going. And so that's just different. Derek right here says, I did the same with Elena. So Derek as well kind of been in this situation. Currently single as well because Derek's building a new startup. And on top of that, Derek's been a guy who's been moving his entire life. Now Derek has kids and stuff and he's had wives before, but it's very hard to keep up a relationship with someone when you're in the midst of doing what Derek's about to do, which I think is build a multi-billion-dollar startup. It's hard to have a girl on the side constantly need your attention. And Elena, I know a little bit about Elena because Derek has told me about Elena. Elena is the sweetest girl ever. Like she was I'm talking about in love with Derek. She was in love with Derek. But at some point, like if you want to chase ambitions, it's just really hard to have something on the side, or to have something not on the side, but like have a main girl that you actually care about, because you're gonna sacrifice her for the ambition, or you have to sacrifice the ambition for the girl. Some people can pull off managing both. It's just very hard. It's just very, very hard for it to take place. Ray, thank you for the $5 super chat. Happy New Year's to all the beautiful souls I see in the chat every day. Here's to another year. Also, can you stream for 13 more hours? I'm basically going to be streaming. How long is the stream been? 3 hours and 11. I'm doing the market close, and then we have freaking the New Year's Eve stream. So I'm basically going to be live the whole day, even if we take a little bit of a break. Does she have purple hair? I think at one point she did have purple hair. No, I don't think she has purple hair anymore. Look, she's a good person. She's not someone that I'm not trying to speak bad about or anything like that. She's like a good human being. She has the right intention. She cares about people, all that stuff. We just philosophically disagree. S&P 500 still down 0.25% on capitalism. And I think she had an Instagram story a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago of just like billionaires shouldn't exist. It's like, dude, like when you say that stuff and I'm trying to be a billionaire, how the hell can we be in a relationship? I'm trying to be a billionaire. You're saying they shouldn't exist. That means you think I shouldn't, like what? It's just when you have that level of and look, I don't think you have to agree with someone on all their political beliefs if you're like going to be in a relationship with them, but you have to agree in the same sentiment of political beliefs. And if someone's a Marxist and the other person's a capitalist and there's no middle ground, it's going to be very, very difficult to have a meaningful relationship. When did she go woke? She's been woke her whole life. And here's the thing. I was woke too, dude. In high school, I was woke also. I was super woke. Like I was the one saying freaking Bill Gates should get taxed 90% and he shouldn't have money, yada, yada. But then you take economics 101, you start paying some taxes and you're like, dude, everything I was thinking about the system being evil, rich people being corrupt, parts of that are true, but in reality, everyone just cares about themselves and they're just trying to make money for themselves. Some people are really good at it, like Mark Zuckerberg, and they take it to the next level. You don't have to be an next Zuckerberg, but that also means you can't make Zuckerberg give up all of his money because he took it to the next level. Imagine saying Michael Jordan shouldn't be able to win as many championships because he's too good. Because it's unequal from the average basketball player that was never able to win that many championships. Well, Michael Jordan worked his ass off in the gym, training every single day to get to the point where he could win those championships. Mark Zuckerberg worked his ass off building Facebook to the point where he could have a $1.5 trillion company. And so that difference in opinion of these guys worked their asses off. Did they have some privileges in life? Of course. Mark Zuckerberg grew up rich. Michael Jordan was 6 feet tall, right? Like, of course they had some intrinsic things that everyone doesn't have access to. But nonetheless, they worked their ass off and we got to reward that hard work. And you've got some people thinking that like they just don't deserve that success. And that's the type of mentality that I can't get on board with. It's just very, very difficult to believe in someone like that. Zokol says, my wife is a Democrat, but she still makes good common sense decisions and also loves capitalism. Paying taxes will really change your mindset. Yeah, like I don't think if you're a Democrat, you're necessarily woke. I don't think if you voted for Biden or Harris, you're like super woke. I think you might just disagree with Republicans on certain issues, on conservative versus liberal principles, and you can still believe in the merits of capitalism. But then you have another section of the American public that like just fundamentally reject all the things, in my opinion, that make America the greatest opportunity in the history of humanity. And do you want that in a partner? I don't, right? My sister jokes all the time. She's like, it's not going to be easy for you to find a girl who's like super on board with some of your conservative principles around economics and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, then I guess it'll take longer to find a girl because I'm not getting into a 30-year long-term investment with someone who thinks that like everything I'm doing every day in regards to analyzing markets is like evil and propping up the capitalist system, which is the demise of like the American public. Like I'm not going to let someone do that, right? So I got to find someone who's on board with the fact that it's okay to make money. And by the way, if the wifey's getting to spend the money, hopefully they're not upset about how you're making the money. But nonetheless, I think if you're getting to a relationship, it definitely has to be on the right principles of who you're dating. Eric says Atlas Shrugged should be a required reading in high school. Ayn Rand trying to warn all of us in the mid-50s. 100% agreed. Atlas Shrugged absolutely should be a part of the curriculum. And it's not, in high school. They were reading To Kill a Mockingbird in high school. Or some, like that's not a stupid book, but there's other stupid books we read in high school. We should have been reading a lot more important things like Atlas Shrugged. Or at least learning about the fundamentals of differences in thought between communism, capitalism, etc. But we don't read that stuff. We read like stupid nonfiction stuff or fiction stuff that's not that important long term. Rick says you need a system where social mobility is possible. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. And that's where sometimes people on the right go too far, where they say that there shouldn't be any handouts by the government. Of course, dude, I went to public school. Should everything be privatized? No, that's stupid. Like most kids won't get an education if everything is privatized. So there needs to be a healthy balance between this stuff. But if you go to the extreme of anarchy or the extreme of like, well, the government should control everything, those are two opposite sides of the spectrum that just, you're going to get bad results either way. How did I even get to this point? Oh yeah, someone asked me, have I ever been in love? So yeah, the answer is yes, I've been in love, but I got out of love after 3 years when I realized that person doesn't believe in the way I think about the world. And again, I broke up with her when I was 20, 21. So I was in my early development of my political beliefs. I still wasn't full on right or left. I was just like still trying to figure shit out. And those are the formative years where you're trying to figure out, all right, do I believe in these principles? Do I not believe in these principles? Do I want to defend these principles? Do I want to fight for these principles? Do I want to live my life in this way? And given she was so far to the left and extreme, I was just like, all right. So, and I was with her a couple of years ago, but I guess I just changed paths and she went a different direction. And that's when you decided to move on. Gene says, go get the money, let love find you. Yeah, that's another thing. The other variable that comes there, though, is that, when you get the money, sometimes love is trying to find the money more than finding you. But I think on balance, getting the money and letting love find you after is what matters more. All right, guys, are we done for today? Thank you to the 1,700 people that are still here listening to me
I don't think this is a rant. This is more so just philosophically exploring different ideas. I mean, there's nothing really going on in the markets. We're just red. So that's why I'm getting super off topic on these different ideas. But like, I mean, Palantir is barely green. Grab is red. Nvidia is down 1%. Archer's down. Google's down. S&P's down. We'll see on the close if we can reverse, but we have definitely entered into a red day to end out New Year's Eve. But it is the last day of the year, and it's always exciting as we get into the end of the year. We look forward to 2025. I did go to the gym yesterday. I wanted to tweet a picture, new year, new me, and tweet the treadmill or something, but it was a slow day at the gym. Just like got in, did a little 20-minute run, got to the sauna, just trying to get back into the grind of things. And then, I want to take it a lot more seriously every single day and like really commit to it. But that's my number one goal next year. Dude, my mom made fun of my nails too, bro, yesterday. So when I was at that dinner party with my mom's friends, my mom and my dad were sitting there, and my mom tends to poke at me when we're with our when we're with family friends and stuff. And so my mom was like, "Yeah, you got a manicure and pedicure." And my dad was like, my dad didn't know, but I guess I didn't tell my dad. And my dad was just like, he looked at me, he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, "Dad, look, my nails are clean." And he was like, "Only women do that." I was like, "No, they don't, bro. Like people want to keep their nails clean. Like, it's not that serious." So it was funny. But then I was telling everybody, because everyone there knows like I do YouTube. And I was just like, so my mom asked in front of everybody, she was like, "So what did your audience think?" I was like, "Oh, well, some of them thought it was cool, but then the majority of them called me gay." And then everyone started laughing. So you guys, your comments did get a good laugh from the audience last night at that dinner party. But I don't care. They look so clean, bro. They're fucking glowing. I didn't even know clear nail polish was a thing, bro. Like, fuck that, bro. They look nice. I like having clean nails. I like it. It's not bad. It's not bad to have clean nails. Real men have dirty in their nails from working. That's actually facts. That's actually facts. If you've been working all day, grinding out into the world, yeah, your nails are probably much more dirtier. Bro, go rub your hands in the dirt right now. Regardless, look, I like it. It was nice, but it was also really fun to see their reaction to it. Dr. Carp would be fine with it. I wonder if Carp would laugh at it, if he'd be fine at it. I've never looked at Carp's nails. Like I've never observed his nails or anything like that. But I don't know. Maybe Carp wouldn't care. Maybe they would stand out, given how shining they are. Greg says, "Thanks a minute for the greater insights into your life. Thanks for a good year. Love you, man. Love you too, Greg. Thank you, everybody, for being here." I've been getting a lot of DMs as well, messages of appreciation from people that have been enjoying the show, enjoying the content. And it really means a lot to me. It really means a lot. I'm happy that you guys are enjoying the show, the product. I think it's going to get better and better next year. I think the meetups next year are going to be super important. Let me share the New York City meetup thing again. So again, New York City, January 18th. By the way, look, I know January tends to be cold, but if you've been in the Northeast for the past couple of days, it's been really warm, like 65 degrees type of warm. So I'm just hoping that somehow January 18th, which is MLK weekend, tends to be warm, and then it's not like blistering cold when we're outside in public together. The only reason we're not doing like a venue or anything is because I can't book a whole venue. A, because I don't know how many people are coming. B, because it's not easy to book a venue in New York City, right? So I think doing something in public where everyone's available to meet each other. If you want to leave early, you can leave early, etc. That's the smarter strategy. The problem is, how cold is it going to be? And so I'm just hoping that week is not going to be that bad. But if there's like 10 or 15 people there, then we can walk around, we can go do something. So it depends on how many people show up. I'm expecting like 15, 20 people max. I'm not really expecting anything too crazy. And if there's less, then we can all chill. If there's more, then we can go off into different groups. But it'll be a good opportunity to meet everybody. Derek, appreciate you, brother. Happy New Year, everyone. Please give a like and send some cash to Amit. You guys do not have to send cash to Amit, because I appreciate you guys being here every day. Mr. Derek continuously sends these memberships. So appreciate you, Derek. Derek, I told you a couple days ago, you're a big part of the community. A lot of people appreciate you. If you guys remember the first time Derek came on the show and he gave the memberships, the reason he gives the memberships is because it renews at the end of the month. And so people have the opportunity to renew the membership if they want to keep supporting the channel. But if they're gifted a membership, they're at least getting the notification that they can renew the membership. You guys don't have to be members of the channel. It's $5 a month. You don't get anything special. There's no gate-walled content or paywalled content or anything like that. It just supports the channel. But Derek's constantly been just like hammering the subscriptions, trying to get people to support the channel. And so he's a big part of the community, big part of my life that's changed. Everyone knows he got me into Figure. And I think that investment is doing very well. I think it will do very well in the future. So completely changed my life. It was one of the greatest blessings in 2024. And now he's building a really big company, and it's going to be exciting to see him go on that journey. And hopefully, he gets to execute and show people what you can do even at this stage of life. I've always told him I'm going to write a book on his life. I think there is an autobiography that deserves to be read or written about Derek. It's just, this is his last hurrah. He's done everything. This is the last big one. And if he pulls this off, which I think he has a really good shot of doing it, it'll be a really cool life story. So eventually that book will be written, and hopefully I'll have a chance to write it. All right. I think that's it. Black Rose says, love all these lives. Can't wait for next year. It'll be fun next year. Going to be super exciting. The market is not open on January 9th. It's closed in observance for Jimmy Carter's death. So market will not be open on January 9th. But we will be open January 2nd. That's when the market officially opens up. Bukowski, thank you for becoming a channel member. Is your name what I think it is? I think it is. Hold on. Let me get this real quick. I think it is. Here we go. If you're Charles Bukowski, this is my favorite quote. For those that haven't read this quote, I think we'll end the stream on this quote. This quote is one of the best ways to end the market open. All right. So here's the quote. This is my favorite quote of all time from Charles Bukowski. So if the person who just joined, if your name is based on Bukowski, then that's super cool. The quote is, go all the way. Okay. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, and maybe even your mind. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. It can mean freezing on a park bench. It can mean jail. It can mean derision. It can mean mockery, isolation. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it despite rejection and despite the worst odds. And it will be better than anything else you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There is no other feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. You will ride life straight to the perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is. Every time I read that quote, it inspires me, because this is basically what I think Derek is doing right now, right? Like, he's going on the perfect fight where the odds are against him. He's already had success. There's no reason to do it, but he's doing it. Losing relationships to do it, but you're still going all the way. And I think for anyone at any stage in life that's building anything, if you're gonna try, you go all the way. In fact, on Charles Bukowski's tombstone, 2 words were listed, and the 2 words were "don't try," as a metaphor for if you're going to try, you have to go all the way. So he kind of told people at his death, don't try. If you're not really going to go for it, don't try. And I think it's just such a philosophical way to interpret life. This guy was a poet. He didn't have success until he was 50 years old. He was a UPS mailman for the majority of his life, and he tried to publish blogs and articles, and no one would really publish him. And then finally, at 50 years old, he got his first poets published in magazines, and that led on for him to have an incredible career and artistic life. But you have to go for it. You have to really, really fucking go for it. Angel, thank you for going a channel member. Appreciate that. Trader Status Quo, thank you for gifting a membership as well and being part of the channel. Appreciate everybody here. Thank you, everybody, for being here in 2024. We've got 2 streams left. We've got the market close, I think, with Technical Tuesday with Jason. Did he text me back? He has not texted me back, so maybe we are not going to have it. We'll see. If not, we'll have a regular market close, and then 8 p.m., we will be live. I will have Jaeger, Red Bull, and Mike's Hard Lemonade, and we'll be drinking away the night going into the new year. And as Derek says right here, pay it forward. That's the number one thing you've got to do in life, especially if you've had a good year in the stock market. I've talked about this a couple times, but whatever you can do in your own way to pay it forward, you pay it forward. Derek definitely paid it forward to me this year, gave me opportunities that I never thought I would have. And so it is now my responsibility to pay it forward in whatever way I can to anyone else. But if you've had a good year in 2024, then I think the number one thing before you collect your profits, before you complain about how much capital gains tax you have to pay, is pay it forward. Do whatever you can to help someone out who hasn't had the best year as good of a year as you as well. All right, that's it. 3:45. We'll be back. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys on the market close. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.